It's Bobby Roast Beef calling in an FTG because apparently fuck me is the way this works. Let's talk about it. I rolled up to the lake today, and in the parking area for trailers, there were 3 vehicles parked with no trailers attached to them. So being that this was a beautiful rainy Sunday and I was just looking out to get a few hours, I figured I would stir the pot a little bit, call the local PD. So I did, and I gave the anglers nearby a heads up that there were going to be towed or there were going to be some tickets handed out because the cops were on their way. One of these guys with no problem was completely understanding and said, hey, thanks for the heads up, moved his car. The other guy, who actually happened to be parked right in front of the ramp where there's no parking, started cussing me out over it. All kinds of name calling, all sorts of bullshit. Got me pretty fired up. I dropped a few C-bombs myself. Anyway, he just up and left. Like, apparently that ruined his entire day, so he took off. Well, the local officer did show up. I talked to him, said, yeah, I was the one that called in. What can we do about this? And he says, we usually don't really have a problem down here. I was like, well, I come down here usually at least twice a week, and generally there are plenty of vehicles parked in there that don't have trailers. Who should we talk to about getting a sign? He's like, it might be local, actually, because, we own the property for the launch. And after looking at some of the other signage there, he goes, nope, it's going to be through the state. So he passed the buck there. Then when I said, so where am I supposed to park here? The only trailer spot has a handicap sign, and I'm not looking to get a ticket. He was like, honestly, man, he goes, you can just park wherever you want. It doesn't really matter. Nobody's going to give you a hard time, and if you get a ticket, just bring it back, and I'll tell them that you had permission to park wherever. And then he advised me that I should park directly in front of the ramp where it is painted on the ground, no parking. What the fuck? So yeah, apparently, guys, I'm the FTG this week because I just wanted to follow what logically made sense. But apparently, I am a fucking asshole. You guys have yourself a great one, and enjoy the show. Bye-bye.
Bobby Roast Beef here with another amazing episode of Jigs and Bigs. Man, we just have a whole crew tonight. We got 4 hosts in total. You got myself. We got who the fuck is Joe Brown. We got the one and only Pat Martin. He's one of our jigheads. We have another jighead. We've got Zech from Dark Horse Tackle joining us. We got lots of stuff to talk about. Yes, we started the show with one FTG. I couldn't wait for segment number 2, guys. You're going to hear about this in my week review. We got all kinds of good stuff to talk about. Joe just got back from the St. Lawrence River. He was up there with the whole Fish or Die crew. They were out doing some flogging. I don't know what to exactly make of that, but we're going to find out what it's all about. Pat's got a great story. He actually hit up a body of water with another friend of the show, Matt Thayer from Klondike Custom Baits. He's going to share his experience on that trip. And then, of course, in Gear of the Week this week, Bobby Roast Beef loves a big wake bait, especially a rat sort of niche for a wake bait. We're going to talk about one very special one. It's a good thing we got Zech in here because this is an official Dark Horse bait. It is. You can get it from Dark Horse Tackle. Check all that stuff out. Guys, we have an amazing show lined up. Don't go too far. We got more good stuff coming up. Get yourself something delicious to enjoy, and we will see you guys with more show after this. Jigheads and all of those watching the creation of this podcast, welcome everybody. Vidal, how we doing? I forgot to mention in the intro, I do have the winners of the raffle for the May Scavenger Hunt. So we got that going on, guys. We got raffle winners, prizes to be given out, all kinds of good stuff. We got a bunch of jigheads in the house, folks. Feel free to make some comments. If they're tie into the show at all, we'll go ahead and pop those in here too. You guys might be noticing something that looks a little bit different about this live. Zech, Pat, you guys, does this look as normal, like as jigheads, the way you would normally see it? It's a little cockeyed.
Skinnier.
Yeah, it's a little bit cockeyed.
We're about 90 degrees wrong.
We're what we're doing is we're trying something here to see how this works as far as opening things up to a new audience via the YouTube Shorts platform. That's what we're going with here. And if this works great, this would work even better for when we also do live streams across the board. We include Instagram and stuff because then it's all just one platform everybody gets to watch. Makes things nice and simple. I was
about to cuss my phone out, man, because I thought I thought every once in a while it does this thing where I can't get it off of portrait on YouTube, and I thought it was about to do it again. So you actually almost owed me a new phone.
But here we are, and luckily at the last moment I swept in and saved the day. How are all you folks doing? Were your weeks as fishy as I was hoping that they would be?
Define fishy.
Well, I feel like, Zach, your week is always fishy no matter what. Just simply at the day-to-day with Dark Horse Tackle and dealing with the content side of stuff and everything else. Regardless if you're getting out on the water or not, you live a very fishy life, you know? So
I'm rebuilding a steam turbine and a generator.
Not fishy.
And this power plant sits right on the Beaver River.
Oh.
I mean, literally right on it.
Right adjacent to the Beav. Yeah.
Yeah. And so yesterday, I walked out to go look at the water, and two kayak anglers came by, and I asked them how their day was, and they said, "Dude, we've been just ripping hogs all day long, nothing less than 3 pounds."
That's exactly what you wanted to hear too, right?
And then I had one single tear run down my eye.
Sarah McLaughlin started playing in the background.
Walked away.
Of course they did. Jerks. Man, I'm telling you, it is absolutely wild. Joe, you had yourself a bit of a week, huh?
I did have myself a week. Wild week.
I love that. This is a fishy fucking show this week. It really is. I didn't mention it. I didn't mention it in the intro, but we got John Hagans. We're talking multi-species in our third segment there in the beef seat. We got John Hagans. We're talking catfish. We're talking carp. We're talking a little bit of bass too. All kinds of good stuff. Let's go ahead and go around the room and kind of get in touch with everybody's week, how they are. Why don't we go in this order, Pat? Why don't we start with you? Then we'll bring Zech into it, see how it goes. And then, Joe, let's get to St. Lawrence. And I'll wrap it up because my week ended up in a weird way.
Sounds good. Yeah, I had a fishier week than I've had. With my schedule, I pretty much have 2 days off where I can fish. And this year so far has been pretty disappointing as far as fishing because I've had a lot of work to do, helping out my parents and stuff on my days off. So this week, Matt and I had plans Wednesday to go down to a spot in Connecticut where you joined him.
Yep, absolutely.
And he's been hot on this spot, and it's been treating him well, treated you guys well when you guys went.
Oh, yeah.
And so I was excited. So we meet up, we head down there, get the boat in the water. It's funny, there was a couple kids fishing on the ramp when we got there. Mm-hmm. And as Matt dumped me in with the boat, one of them's like, "Hey, man, my frog just snapped off and it's floating over there. You think you could grab it for me?"
That's awesome.
Yeah, no problem. I'll go over.
And then you picked it up and you're like, "Sweet, I got a new frog, jerk."
He was like, "I was about to swim over there, but somebody said there's a bunch of snapping turtles over there," which kind of cracked me up. And I was like, "You'll be fine."
Yeah.
But I got you. So got his frog, and so we head out, and as you know, in that spot, and this is something I'm not used to, because in Rhode Island, where everything's ass backwards as far as our fucking DEM and everything, so we don't have speed limits on water. We have horsepower restrictions. So this is a smaller, body of water. Mm-hmm. And so pulling in, I'm like just thinking like, this is, trolling motor only, or 9.5 horsepower max or something like that. And so when I go over and pick up Matt, give the kid his frog back, and he gets in and he fires up the outboard. I'm like, "Oh, really?" I was like, "Oh yeah, that's right. We're in Connecticut.
We're in another state.
It's a speed limit. As long as you don't open her up, it's fine." So we motor over to the middle where it gets a little shallow spot, and he shuts off the outboard and he opens up one of his containers and is getting ready. And I pick up a rod with one of his spinner baits on it.
Yep.
And I throw a cast out, and I go to start reeling, and I thought because it's rocky, so I'm like, what did I immediately like snag on a rock? And I start to reel, and I'm like, no, I'm on. And Matt and I are in the middle of a conversation too. So he's talking, and I'm just like, yeah, I'm on. And he's like, oh, yeah. And I'm like, no, I'm on already. And he just turns around, throws his arms up in the air, and he's like, yeah. And I pull in what at the time was my new PB smallmouth, because in Rhode Island we don't have a whole lot of, or at least down in my area, not a whole lot of smallmouth. So 16-inch smallmouth. First cast,
dude, that's
didn't
not bad.
even crank it, and the thing ate the fucking spinnerbait.
Nice.
So right off the bat, I'm like, all right, here we go. This is going to be a good day. And throw it on the board, put it in. Matt just goes, you realize I haven't even put the trolling motor in the water yet, right?
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm just like, nice. So we start fishing around, and kept throwing the spinnerbait, obviously.
Yep.
I got a bite off it right away, but went a little bit, kind of went around this like little island patch there and didn't really have a bite. And we were heading back out kind of towards offshore, and Matt's like, oh, I'd never noticed this patch of grass over here before. And he was reeling back in, had a little bit of it on. He's like, oh, fuck, a smallie just swiped at the weeds on the back of my lure right there. I was like, all right. So as we start passing it, I throw a drop shot over there. Fucking bam. Pull up that smallie. There you go, Matt.
Nice.
You fired him up for me. So we kept working around. I proceeded to just hammer him all day. Probably 6 or 7 smallies, at least, all good size. I ended up upgrading to a 16 and a quarter, which is what I put in on the multi-species.
Yep.
Which is my new PB, and didn't weigh it. It was probably about 2 pounds, maybe a little over.
Yeah.
Usually I always would weigh something, especially in PB, but I've just gotten into the habit of, like, if it's under like 3.5, 4 pounds, I'm not even going to bother digging the scale out.
Sure.
So, and especially since I had the board with it, I was like, at least I got some kind of measurement.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
Ended up catching about, a little over a 3-pound largemouth, 18-inch. So I got to upgrade that
nice.
For the tournament. I think the one I had before was like 15 and a quarter, 15 and a half. So, and Matt was just getting so frustrated. Well, he was so happy. It was the dichotomy of Matt Thayer going on, where he was getting so pumped that I was catching these fish and getting so mad at the same time.
Oh yeah.
And there was like a little stretch where he was like, he kept getting bit on a jig, and it was just like, I'm not going to put the jig down. And meanwhile, I'm just drop shotting and catching a fish like every other cast. Just like it was nothing. And it actually got to the point towards the end of the night where they started getting smaller. I'm going down to like 10-inch little bass, like every cast with a drop shot. I'm like, all right, I'm getting tired of like just holding the rod, so I'll throw the spinnerbait again.
Sure.
First fucking cast again with the spinnerbait, another largemouth. I was like, I feel like cranking something. Let's see if this does something. All right, there it is. That's like, Jesus Christ, dude.
That's
so
freaking
we
awesome.
had such a good time, and like I was saying before we started recording, it was really awesome, like being in a fishery like that.
Yep.
Because like I said, there's not the few ponds in my area that do have smallmouth. One of them, they're all stunted. I used to catch them like one every time I went out there, but they were always like 10-inch.
Yeah.
Like nothing bigger than that. At best, like 10-inch. And I haven't even really caught anything in there in the last probably a year, maybe year and a half, as far as smallmouth go. And then the other spot, I've just started fishing more. It's right in Matt's backyard, basically. And they have good smallmouth in there, but it's not as often. It's not like this. Like, so to go to a body of water where you're almost catching smallmouth as easily as largemouth, like that's just a whole new experience for me.
Oh, absolutely.
And, a lot of fun. The largemouth I caught, 18-inch, was definitely the biggest one I've caught on a drop shot so far. And I fell in love with the drop shot last year when I first started throwing it. I got a setup through a mutual friend of Matt's that was upgrading some gear. So he sold me his combo, like, oh, it's a perfect drop shot combo, blah, blah. So, and that was actually a day last year, the first time I went out with Matt and grabbed that. The first time I put a drop shot in the water, I caught like a 10-inch bass.
That's awesome.
Like, just first time, never fished a drop shot in my life, and just dropped it in and like kind of like pulled up on the rod to like feel the tension point, and it wiggled, and I was like,
you're like, shut on, yeah.
And I just turned to Matt, and I'm like, drop shot's easy, just put it in the water, they just eat it.
What were you throwing for a plastic on that drop shot?
The Mayo's minnows here. I got one right over here.
Oh yeah, I think I've seen those before. They're good looking,
Brian
good looking
Mayo,
plastics.
Local plastic ore.
Yep.
Got one right here.
Chad is unhinged. Chad is unhinged. Binya, my God.
The black Mayo minnow.
Dude, that's perfect. Because if I remember correctly, I think Matt was actually killing them on drop shot when we fished there.
Yeah.
He was throwing a drop shot quite a bit, and he was on fire. My BFS combo never left my hand when I was down there. That's freaking awesome. And that was
the plan, dude. When we went out, and there was, when we first got out there, it was probably about 4:30, 4:45, somewhere in that area, and there was a good breeze, and like I said, we went right out kind of in the middle offshore where there was that little sandbank, and and so like seeing a little bit of chop in the water, my first instinct is, well, this early I'm gonna just throw a spinnerbait a few times.
Yeah.
If it's winding, I'm spinning. So and it just dropped on his head, and so but yeah, it was awesome being in a fishery like that, because like it made me jealous of Connecticut. I'm sure not every spot's that perfect, but like I was like, wow, because he told me he's talked to guys at that spot, and they're like he's running into people from the state there that are like talking about the stocking program. They actually put small, and actually keep track of their their fish in there, and like so take care of the fishery. Wow, this is awesome.
That's badass,
and it's the most fishy thing. I've gotten out fishing sometime a handful of times this year, not as much as I usually do, and I've caught some fish, but I haven't. That was the first day this year that has really been like
you
that.
Were really
usually I have those days at like that day at like the end of April, early May's like my first like, all right, I've been on them kind of day. So that really kicked me back into gear. All right, let's go.
You need that. You need that before like mid-July to like just kind of get you through it. That's awesome, Pat. That's freaking awesome, dude. When's the next time you're getting out?
Wednesday. I plan on getting out.
Nice.
I just got a new battery for the boat.
Yep.
Or actually, I traded in the new battery that I got because that thing was not fucking right, and it was getting error messages on 2 different trickle chargers. And I only had taken it out once. I bought it in April, and so I took it out last week, and it lasted me an hour. And the first time I fired up the outboard since I got the boat, because like I said, a lot of our spots are small down here and falling only. And actually, the body of water I was on, the outboard it's a 45, and it's like a 9 or 10 horse max on that.
Wow.
My battery was dead, and the wind was blowing off the ramp, so I was like, well, if I'm going to get the boat back, this is what's happening. So
nice.
Damn, everybody got boats now.
Yeah.
It won't be long, Zach. We're going to talk vessels in a moment. So, Zach, tell us about your fishy week. How did it go?
So actually, So Metal Jones is my handle on social media, is my personal handle. And a while ago, somebody once coined the phrase metal time, because my time just isn't the same.
Yeah.
So we're going to call my weeks thus far, my months thus far.
Yep.
Okay. That's just pretty much how it goes.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But no, I got out, I went fishing with Paige and her boyfriend Ethan.
Yep.
And another dude that I can't remember his name right now. Sorry, dude. You're pretty fucking cool, but I can't remember your name right now. He's even a subscriber, so I feel terrible.
Oh yeah. So
he was at the show.
Yep.
Terry. I think maybe his name's Terry. He was with Paige. I think his name's Terry. But anyways, we went out to this lake.
I want that T-shirt so bad.
Back up, Terry. Back up. I'm sorry.
No, you're good, man.
I'm a piece of shit.
But anyways, they found this little lake in the northwest corner of PA that I didn't know about, called Tamarack, and we went there. And it's a little bass farm out there.
Yeah. Ooh.
Yeah. And I was out there testing baits for the June box, and I got into doing this thing. So last year, Heavy Hitters MLF, the winner, Alton Jones Jr. He was like short flipping a spinner bait into cypress trees.
Okay.
And wheeling it out. I mean, like 10, 15 feet, maybe 20 feet tops, but probably more like 10, 15 feet.
Yep.
And reeling it out. And he was slamming them. And I actually started doing that with the Defiant buzzbait.
Oh.
And oh my God. They were just crushing it, dude.
Really? Okay.
Most of my hits came within a foot of the bank. Like as soon as it, and that even though it's 3/4 of an ounce, that thing gets up quick. And as soon as it would get up on plane and make a couple of turns of the prop, bow, they would smash the hell out of it. It was a lot of fun, man.
That's a loud blade too. Like just spinning it in the air, you're like, this thing squeaks good. Yeah, right out of the box.
Yeah. With a little tuning, it gets way louder too. I'm a very firm believer in tuning buzz baits. I've got micro buzzes that are like a year old, and like they've been hit so many times and abused and used and everything else that like the wire has come kind of loose in there. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. So it's loose from the head. It hasn't come apart or anything. It never will, but it's come loose from the head. I still throw them, man, just because they make so much noise. It makes all the difference in the world. That's the point.
I'm a big believer. Sure, I'm a big believer in top water noise is more important than anything else. The noise your top water makes. If you are wanting to catch topwater fish and you're using something like a buzz bait or honestly any kind of topwater, and you're not catching, find a way to make a different noise. If you're using a soft plastic like horny tone or something, find something that makes a different noise. Maybe it's a little bit louder, maybe it's a little bit softer.
Yeah.
Maybe the frequency of the noises that it's making is higher or lower, whatever. Just find a way to make a different noise, and you can actually dial in topwater. I think, honestly, from pre-spawn to right before winter, I think you can catch topwater fish no matter what. That's what I like to do. I'm pretty. It sucks sometimes because I'm supposed to be out there testing all kind of baits, and I just want to catch stuff on top water.
That's exactly it. Well, this month I think probably worked out really good for you because the entire box that you're testing is all top water.
Yeah, exactly. No, it was a lot of fun. Besides that, not too much this week. Just really freaking hot, boys.
Crazy.
Like what was it like for you boys? Was it up in the 90s?
Oh yeah, all week long.
Yeah, I'm right on the coast in southern Rhode Island, so it was like mid-high 80s, but the humidity point was like 75, 80.
It's what they call
it's not
Mississippi
New England
hot.
anymore.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the subtropics.
I was on the Canada border and it was still 88. It's
Canada border riding bitch.
I was. We'll talk all
We're gonna
about
hear all
that.
about that shit. Damn.
Yeah.
Damn.
But no, other than that, man, a lot of design work for all the Dark Horse tackle stuff, a lot of the KAS stuff. I went to Michigan.
You did go to Michigan.
That was a blast. Yeah.
Nice.
Something to forget about.
Yeah. And it was a really good time, man. Drew's got something really hot going on.
Yeah.
I got to meet Jeff Little. I got to meet Jeff from Aggressively Average Anglers.
Yep.
Met Alex Rudd. All cool guys.
Yeah.
Ilakin. Yeah, his name is Jake. I don't freaking remember what his handle is. But he's a big Instagram dude. But got to meet him. Got to meet a bunch of people. Everybody was really freaking cool, man. I didn't run into like any tools
That's
the entire
awesome.
Time.
That's the best.
Everybody that came on stage to get an award or whatever, like everybody was genuine. Families were there. People are having fun. Like, if I wasn't a sponsor, I'd almost pay the entry fee just to go, like you're going to a freaking amusement park or something, or like you're going to a party or something. You know what I mean? Like it was a lot of fun. I was really impressed with what he's got going on. And this is just the first year. It's going to get better.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and I think just between the first couple, people have already been saying like, this is a different animal. Like this is just the vibe is so different. It's not your typical like you get some of those like the competitive kayak fishermen that show up with like all their that's what they do. But even their vibe I've heard is different than if it were a KBF or a Hobie BOS or something like that. Like this is more about really just like enjoying the sport, and making it a little.
You can tell by what they like when they're talking about their days and stuff. You can tell when they're on the water, it's business.
Oh, for sure.
But when they come off the water, it's not business anymore.
Yeah,
like,
that's awesome.
They're hanging out. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
you've got things to do. You've got people to talk to, hang out with, drinks to drink, food to eat. It's a really good time, man. I would genuinely encourage anybody who has ever even thought about doing a little bit of competitive tournament angling to give it a shot.
To try it. Kayak Adventure Series, man, it's no joke. Are you going to the event at the Susquehanna?
Abso-freaking-lutely.
I will see you there.
I'm hoping the only event I'm going to miss from here on out is the one in the one called Ozarkana out in Missouri. Yep. I'm not going to make that one. That's the beginning of July, but I think I will be at the rest of the three. If I'm going to miss another one, it'll probably be Wisconsin because that's a haul.
It's a haul, yeah.
But
a lot of cheese.
Dude, who doesn't want to go fish the Upper Mississippi, man? Come on.
Right? That's what I'm saying, dude. So I don't think I'm gonna fish the Kayak Adventure Series simply because I'm gonna be there at the Susky. I gotta drag all my gear for trivia and everything else. So I'm not gonna take my kayak. My kayak is just I never fish it. Like it's not like I'm gonna be able to pre-fish it, and get an idea of like where I'm going to go. So I'm just going to be feeling it all out. So I'm just going to be going and hanging out, having a great time, probably do some fishing, just for kicks, and, but I'm going to be hosting fishy trivia there at the awards ceremony. That's going to be awesome. I got to confirm all
something
that,
you might want to consider in the future, is maybe make a couple days of it. More than just a couple. And the reason why is because if you get there, like opening, whatever ceremonies, whatever, I forget what he calls it. That's like Thursday, right?
Yep.
And then it's Friday, Saturday is the tournament, and Sunday everybody goes home. But dude, if you get there like Tuesday, Wednesday, dude, like you can get out there and go fishing with all the guys pre-fishing.
Oh,
like,
hell yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and I kind of shit the bed at Michigan because I didn't show up till Thursday night, I think is when I showed up. I can't remember now. It's been a long time. Anyways, but no, like if you make a little tiny mini vacation out of it. There's like you can have a whole lot of fun, man.
Yeah.
And honestly, I I would suggest that to anybody that's going and not fishing the tournament. Like, get out there, because like there's dudes fishing the entire time.
Oh
like,
yeah,
if you're
yeah,
somebody
absolutely.
that never gets to fish with people very often,
Yep.
dude, you can have people to fish with, which it's a nice change. I personally think that you learn the most when you're fishing by yourself, but fishing with other people is a whole hell of a lot of fun. A completely different animal and a lot of fun.
No, I agree, dude. That's awesome. I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a blast.
And thanks for putting me on the big screen there, Bobby.
Oh, that's what
I feel important.
I'm figuring out how this new platform works, and I'm kind of liking it. Now, up next is Joe. We get to hear about what it's like to ride. What's up with the boat, Joe? Really, that's what we got to know.
All right, so we'll touch on that as well. So I ended up going up to St. Lawrence a day late. Went up Tuesday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because Monday I basically was like, I'm just showing up down there. I'm gonna see where the boat's at.
Oh,
and
gotcha.
I also had to grab some gear out of it because they're supposed to have it for a few days, so I left most of my shit in it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I go down there, and the thing's just absolutely pulled apart. Everything's just there's wires everywhere. So I was like, okay, I lost my cool a little bit. It's frustrating, and I'm actually going to talk a little bit about it at the end of the news segment.
Okay,
that's where I'm really going to talk about it.
All right, cool.
Because there's something that kind of goes hand in hand with it. But yeah, so the boat's not ready. Tomorrow, I'm going to tell them they basically have 72 hours to figure it out, or they need to give me a loaner. So
yeah, which is fair.
Yeah, it's been a month.
Yep,
it's been a month.
Yeah.
So it's a little ridiculous to keep having them tell me that, we feel like we're getting close, or we don't know what's wrong, or we're almost there. And no, that's just not an acceptable answer anymore. I want to know if it's a wiring thing, then you need to rewire the whole fucking boat.
Yeah, I would just think if narrow it down and then fix that.
Yeah. So it's
you know a guy that would get it done down at JCS. That's gotta be so frustrating.
And I was talking to Josh Codier about that because he was up St. Lawrence with me. I was like, dude, I would have had it back in 3 days.
Yeah.
But I'm stuck because it's fucking warranty work, and John can't do warranty work, or not for Skeeter at least. Mm-hmm. So yeah, so I'm like stuck bringing it to these fucking idiots because they're the only place around that can do it.
Yep.
But yeah, so I go down there Monday, deal with that. I grab my shit. And dude, after that, like I was driving home, I was like so bummed out. I was like, dude, I don't even know if I'm going up St. Lawrence. Like I was just so angry, so mad.
That sucks, dude.
And
I've been there.
Yep. And then I get home, wife talked me into it. Taylor called me. He's like, dude, just get up here.
Yeah.
So I left early Tuesday morning, real early. End up getting up there about 11. Because it's like,
okay.
I mean, I had to stop a couple times. It took probably 5.5 hours to get up there where we were going. So I get there and I immediately hop on with Taylor, who owns Fish or Die, as well as his buddy Kevin, who it was actually his boat. It was a nice Phoenix. So we hop on there and this is where the bitch seat thing comes in, so obviously it doesn't have like a center seat, and it didn't even like have a pad like the Skeeter does. So I was just, dude, and it's a lot, you get that, you hear that word St. Lawrence River, but it's as rough, if not more rough than any lake around here. You know what I mean? Even like the river portion, it's a rough ride. So I threw I think a Instagram story and a TikTok up there of me getting bounced around. But yeah, dude. I was telling Taylor, I was like, dude, I'm sore. Like I'm getting old. I'm hurting.
Meaning to the phrase butt hurt.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it was like, dude, my back was cranked. I was actually taking I'm not the type to take like Advil and shit like that, and I was fucking cranking them that evening. But yeah, dude. So we get out there. We probably hit the water about 11:30, and God, we immediately started cranking them. It took me a little bit to get my first one because one thing about being a especially like a bass boat tournament angler, is very rarely do you retie.
Yeah.
Like I just have my setups on my deck ready to go.
Yep.
And like, so this is like, okay, because I only brought 4 rods with me. So I'm like, so anytime I had to change something up, I'm in the back, I'm fucking retying. I'm like, God, this sucks. I'm not used to this. But
it's tough.
No, so this was the Fish or Die content week. So basically the purpose of this is, all the Fish or Die team members, those that he sponsors, basically comes up. We had guys come up from Florida, West Virginia, Georgia, I believe it was Georgia, like the Tennessee, like they're from all up and down, essentially the East Coast. So it's basically to help get to, fish the Fish or Die baits, help get a little content for them for whether it be social media, website, or whatever. And, so, I'm and I just love their baits anyway, obviously, but, so my first fish came actually in from a technique we'll talk about later, basically using an underwater viewer, or what they call a flogger. Basically, so we got up there, the fish had already really spawned. There's a couple spots where there's fish still sitting on beds, but people are saying like they're kind of like ahead of themselves this year because the season up there just opened. It opened, I think, June 15th. So we were there essentially a few days after the opening of the season. Cause you can't, and I didn't know, because, come from Massachusetts, I didn't realize this. You can't just fish bass all year round up there. There's an actual like season for them. And, so first fish comes actually off a drop shot, a Gadsden, Fish or Die Gadsden on a fish on a bed. So we're watching through the viewer. We're watching, it's a male, female. Female was kind of hanging, and there's some weeds on the exposed on the edge of the exposed bottom. She was kind of hanging out in there. She was probably about a 4.5. The male came in at probably like low mid 3s. And he was, guarding the bed. The female was kind of just, she wanted nothing to do with the bait. But after we were working it, and as we're working it with the viewer, the flogger, Taylor hooks up. He brings in like a 4, like for that. He was just on the other side of the boat. And then I finally get this thing, and like I said, I'm gonna put the video up. I finally get this thing to hit to grab my bait, hook him. It was like, low 3s, good fish. So I broke the ice there. It took me like an hour and a half to maybe 2 hours to break the ice, while those guys had already caught a couple. Oh, wow. So I was getting I was already getting kind of frustrated, but it's luckily, we made it work to where like a lot of the times all 3 of us were up on the front deck. Cause there's that, it being a boater, you're not used to like, you cast out, then all of a sudden they get on the trolling motor, so you gotta be like, oh shit, let me reel in so I can fucking, and so we got that one. Went to another spot. We pretty much stayed in the Clayton area, like the real Andrea Bay. Yep. So we kind of stayed in there, found another spot, and I immediately hook in to what undoubtedly would have been my personal best smallmouth. Yeah, like without a doubt. I can't remember this. This was day. Actually, that might have been day 2, but I'm just gonna say because they all wash in together. Oh, because I went with those guys. So I hook in, and it was one of those ones where you feel it start to fight. You kind of go in panic mode. Yeah. Because you're like, oh fuck. Yep. like this is a big one. Even like Kevin, he was right next to me. Yeah. Yeah. Kevin's like, he even went in the panic mode. He's like, because he just knew just by hearing it. Yep. He caught a quick flash of it, and because we're in about 12, 15 feet of water, that water's so clear you can see right to the bottom there. Oh, yeah. But he's like, he goes into panic mode. He's like, shit, net. He's like going to grab the net, and it came off. It like after it was maybe like 5 seconds, 5-6 seconds, I had it. So, and I had,
dude, insult to injury, man.
Yeah.
Like this, you should have read your horoscope, dude. It doesn't sound like you're weak.
Yeah. So what kind of fucked me, we'll talk about this, is I was using that BFS setup, and Bobby and I had already talked weeks back about how this rod I got for the BFS setup, it feels a little bit too whippy to get like good enough hook sets like that like good enough penetration, especially in a smallmouth.
What was the bait that you were throwing?
I had the sharpshooter on a what kind of Ned did I have it on?
Okay, but it was a Ned.
Yeah, it was a Ned.
All right,
it was like a mushroom head Ned. I remember looking at it.
Yeah, and you could see in the video it wasn't a soft hook set by any means.
And that's
you know what I mean?
It didn't. That's what I was wondering. So it's not like you broke it off or anything. Was it pulling drag?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
all right. Good.
Yeah,
it should be.
I had the drag almost all the way, and it was still pulling it.
Yeah, that's
easy.
A big fish. All right, so it's not that it was a light line thing or anything like that. We can eliminate that.
Nope.
Yeah, dude.
So I originally thought, I was like, fuck, he must have got me into the rocks, and the rocks, the rocks, sliced my leader or whatever, because we were fishing near some rocks. And then, when I lose it, I reel it in, and the
bait's
hook,
still there.
Everything's still, the bait's still there.
Yeah.
So
I'm with you. I think it's the rod.
I think so too, 100%. Because
you're gonna have to try BFS Zach style.
I
only like the BFS because it allows me to cast easily cast lighter baits.
Yeah, that's essentially why I use it.
I have a Pride rod medium light. It is not. It's not your average medium light. It's got a little more stick to it.
Yeah,
and I throw like 1/4 ounce stuff on there, 3/8 ounce stuff on there.
That's not BFS. That's conventional.
Hey, it's a BFS reel, man.
Yes. But those weights aren't like finesse. You know what I mean? But what's the speed of that fishing rod?
I can do however I want.
You can. What is the speed? What's the speed, Zach, of that rod?
It's fast.
It's fast. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think, and the length.
It's 7
How
foot
long
even.
is it, Zach?
7 foot, baby.
7 on the nose. All right. Okay.
Yeah. I think who is that? Binya? Is that Mike? Whose comment said I'm a grower, not a shower?
Yeah,
7
that's
foot,
right.
Baby.
That's right. They make pills for soft hook sets. Wow. Binya's talking all kinds of shit. He's off the rails tonight. He goes, I think they're blue.
No soft hook sets from me.
He knows.
Soft hook sets from me.
Yeah,
it's a lot easier to throw lighter stuff. And I'm like 16th is the lowest I'm going to go.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. And
so like most of the time it's 16th to 1/4 is what I'm throwing on a BFS.
Yeah.
And I just like what the reel does. And I got a rod that was specifically not a buggy whip. Because I'm not throwing a 1/32 ounce bait on there.
So
I'm never going to.
The thing is,
and that's exactly what the problem with this one is it's so fucking whippy. And that's why I think.
So the thing with that is a balance there. Like if you're going to throw ultralight baits, and I'm talking anything sub 1/8 ounce, right? Really? If you're going to throw ultralight baits, you need that rod to be able to load, to be able to chuck that bait. And even your casting is different. Like you can't bomb a BFS cast the same way you would throw your 7 foot medium heavy cast. You know what I mean? It's a different beast altogether. It's just a flick of the wrist, and it's a lot more delicate. Those hooks, if you hook set them, if you set the hook the way you would, like I was throwing a 1/2 ounce jig today. If I was setting the hook on my BFS combo like that, I could bend out the hooks. You know what I mean? They're that light. I do think that it's just one of those things where I've missed fish, but I've also caught fish on my BFS combo that I had no business reeling in on such light gear. So it absolutely can be done. Sometimes I feel like if I had to say, like, what's the advantage to BFS? The advantage with using BFS is efficiency combined with getting a bite when you can't get a bite on conventional size stuff. That's really what it is.
Sure.
It's more of a challenge, I think, to get a large fish in the net, on the boat necessarily. But I think that what is going to help would be a shorter rod, a faster rod, and oddly, a lighter rod. So don't go medium light, go light, go ultra light, because it'll bend, but only so much of that tip will bend.
Sure.
You know?
Bobby wants you to throw a chode.
I'm starting my own BFS tackle line. It's officially going to be called Chode Tackle. You heard it here first. You heard it here first?
Yeah. So after that, I mean, dude, that one hurt because it felt from that time that I had it. I like in my mind, I was like, not only is this my smallmouth PB, but this might be my bass PB
black
in
bass
general.
PB in general. Yeah,
because throughout the week, there were several sixes caught, fives, fours. Like there was
big fish.
There was, I mean, yeah. I mean, let me.
Joe, what is your bass PB?
5.7.
5.7. Okay.
Yep, 5.7. So I think that was because it just did not feel like any fish I had ever, like any bass I had ever, like in my mind, I was like, maybe it was just a drum. We'll just say it was a drum.
There you go.
It's fantastic when they just say no.
Yeah. And that's what it was. And, but yeah, so there was throughout that week, there was, Josh ended up getting the day I left. I don't know if he was with Chris during this because he took Chris out from A-Bay Friday, but he got a 5+.
I did see
and
that.
some fours. He got a couple fours with me. But yeah, so we that day, so I put the BFS away. It didn't leave. It stayed out of my hands the rest of that trip.
Fair enough. That's that's hard to recover from.
Yep. So yeah, but it was weird up there because we expected to be in full spawn mode. We found some good fish that were still on beds.
Yep.
But most of them were they're either there's a lot of fish guarding fry.
Yeah.
So they were just kind of like, they were just constantly moving, kind of tough to pinpoint. But the rocks, there was a lot. We did catch a lot around rocks and just like shoals, just flat shoals. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up that day. I got another one right around the same, like low 3. That one was also on a Ned rig.
Yep.
That was a fun one. We were just kind of thrown by the big bridge that goes into Connecticut, and in the Kevin and Taylor smashed them at the same time. We got a little bit later start that second day, and we stayed like pretty much right till dark. Kevin got a 5. He got a 5, and actually, I got some video of that, some footage of that fish. That was pretty cool. I was actually on the viewer, the flogger for that one. Guiding them in. I put it in the water. We were in about 12, 13 feet of water, and I saw her on that bed, and I was just like, oh gosh. Like, I was like, dude, this is a big one. I was like, this is the biggest one we've seen all day. And, so yeah, Kevin was able to, it was funny because, there's obviously a pretty strong current, and, Taylor throws his. He had he was drop shotting. I forget which bait he had on there that he was drop shot, but it wasn't the Gadsden. So that the fish grabs it, the tail, and then immediately spits it out. Right. And I was like, and so in my head, I was like, oh, this one's going to be a bitch. She's not gonna, go easy.
Yep.
And then literally 2 seconds later, Kev's Gadsden comes down right through the bed, the same thing, and she just fucking smokes it. And I'm like, set it. And he fucking, and he gets it. So that was a blast. Day 3, I went with Josh. Josh finally, this is Josh. Nice one, Zech. So Josh finally made his way up. Him and I went out, and he wanted to go hit the Lake Ontario.
Yeah.
So we start to go in there, and I'm thinking to myself, dude, number one, I get seasick, so I was fucking terrified of that, and number two, I'm looking, and I was like, dude, those rollers look like pretty bad.
Sketch.
And he's like,
Yeah.
no, he's like, no, dude, that's probably just like the current coming in from the river. He's like, I'm pretty sure it's going to smooth out. He's like, I'm looking at this app. I'm like, okay. We get out probably 3 miles, dude. And it's just like, whoop-boom. The boat is so bad, dude. So he has that right height turret that I do for his live scope on his boat. Dude, I look up, we hit it. And that fucking right height just snaps, dude.
Oh my God.
His live scope just snaps right off. It's just bounce around on his deck. I'm like, and it's funny. I actually have this on video. I go, hey, your live scope's broken. He's like, fuck. So that's when he decided we're gonna turn it around. He's like, dude, this is too bad. I was like, yeah, no shit. And
that sucks.
Oh, dude, it was wild. So we turn around, and he finds us some flats to fish. We get onto a couple decent ones. He actually he got a nice just over 4. And then he was talking about a spot that he had smashed them during a I don't know if it was a BFL or a Bassmaster Open, a few years back. They saw he's like, dude, we're gonna do this run. He's like, it's like 45, a little over 45 miles. I was like, okay. I was like, let's fucking go for it. We better fucking smash him, dude.
Yeah, that's a big amount of time to dedicate.
Yeah, so it was our ride. Because you're dodging big ass barges and shit, and so right up into Canada, dude. Right in through Canada, back in the U.S. We got a couple there. He was pretty aggravated because we just didn't get him like we wanted to, and but we caught fish. We each got a few.
That's good.
And unfortunately there was some pretty heavy thunderstorms rolling in from the Canada side that we're watching, and we're like, dude, we gotta get back before these hit. So yeah, we ended up racing back again, another like hour 15 minutes back.
Canadian thunderstorms.
Yeah, dude. So yeah, but all in all, that trip was an absolute blast.
That's awesome.
Boat or no boat, I had a great time. Met some phenomenal guys that are on the Fish or Die team. They got Dylan Fogarty, who was the the MLF college open champion 2 years ago.
Oh wow, okay.
There. Yeah. I feel bad because I'm forgetting the other guys' names, but just these guys, a couple of these young kids, all they do is travel around opens trying to get into either MLF or the Elite Series. This just so happened to be a stop. Also met a couple MLF guys that were up there fishing. Kyle Hall and Drew Gill. Nice. They because MLF actually got the last day MLF got canceled at Champlain due to wind. So a bunch of them ended up at St. Lawrence. I guess they were just hitting it on their way. Like Jacob Wheeler was there.
Yeah.
So a bunch of guys just kind of stopped in to smash some smallies, I guess. And
dude, Drew Gill is not even human.
He's nuts, dude.
He's not even human. He's a freaking computer.
What's funny is his fucking trophy's still sitting in his fucking passenger seat of his truck.
Mine would be.
That's wild.
Yeah. So he won the last MLF
last
event.
week.
Yep. Yeah. So dude, his trophies.
He almost won. What the hell is that place called over? What is that over in Kentucky, Tennessee? Dale Hollow. He almost won Dale Hollow.
Yeah. He's an animal.
I'm saying it right now. Wheeler stole his spot. Just saying. The man drove past him like for 3 days straight, and all of a sudden on the last day, Wheeler's sitting on his spot.
That sucks. Yeah,
Drew Gill's freaking awesome.
Dude, wicked nice kid. Talked to us for a few minutes. Awesome. He actually, it was funny. So So we were parked in, the hotel that Chris and Christina run. And and he actually pulled in there to grab a pizza from the place across the street. So he's like, so we're like trying to pull in. He's in our way. He's like, shit. She's like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. And we realize who it is. We're like, oh, Drew. No, like, oh man, take your time.
No big. Yeah.
Yeah. And wicked nice dude. Kyle Hall wasn't as chatty, just a quick hi.
Yep.
Whatever. But he's a Jacob Wheeler boy. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly.
They're boys. But so that was cool to see those guys up there. And dude, it was just a blast. We had a good time. Got to see, seeing Chris and Christina. Thank you to those guys for the hospitality, opening up their Airbnb and the hotel to us. That was phenomenal, and we're super, super appreciative of that. And while we were up there, you guys are, at least Bobby, you're familiar with the Thousand Island tackle shop.
Oh, Tits? Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I know Tits.
So, Taylor went up and had a little conversation with them, with Chris's help.
Yeah.
And they actually made a huge order of fish or die yesterday.
Really?
To put up there, yeah.
That's awesome.
Very large order.
Nice.
Yep. So, dude, those baits, putting all those baits to work up there was phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
It was awesome. Dude, it was just a blast. I had a good time to the point where I told the wife, I was like, hey, let's smash an Airbnb. Let's go get an Airbnb and fucking go up there in a few weeks with the boat.
Absolutely. Joe, hold on a second. Zach, what are you doing over there?
Oh, I thought I had my mic muted.
No, like, what is going on?
You sure
Sorry,
did.
buddy.
Cocaine? What the fuck is that?
But yeah, so I'm going to try to go up there in the next few weeks, bring the family up there. There's a ton of Airbnbs that you can get that are right on the river, and they have like dock access where you can just park the boat. So we'll see.
Zach went deaf from his steak hoagie. That's what it was.
Yeah, he did.
That's nuts. Dude, those trips are the greatest. Like, they charge you up for like a million other fishing outings. It's like you get so much more on the back end of those.
It's fun. It's funny you say that. So yesterday, I got home Friday, left early. I left not early morning, but like after I got up, took my time, I left, recuperated the rest of Friday. And yesterday, I actually took the boys, the twins. We found a little spot. They get a little hike. They got to do a little hike into.
Okay.
Local to me, like 5 minutes from my house.
Oh, nice.
And I was like, dude, I'm going to try to frog fish.
Hell yeah, dude.
It was literally every other cast.
Really?
Nothing big, not big, but they were smashing it every other cast.
That's
it was awesome.
Badass.
Yeah. So
that's freaking great, dude.
Yeah, and then that was my fishy week.
That's a pretty goddamn good week, man. Segment 1 is going to be an absolute beast. You guys might want to go ahead and crack one because I have a tale for you guys.
Too late.
Your boy made it out 4 times this week. All right. You could say I did a little bit of fishing this week. So I went out on my first outing was Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday was my first outing. I went out to, this is fucking wild. I went out to a body of water that has a reputation for having a ton of fish, but a very, not a great bass fishing spot. If you want to catch multi-species, this is a great spot to go, which is exactly what I wanted to do. Just go and catch multi-species. I needed trout. I needed rock bass. I needed a crappie to measure. I needed, there's so much stuff that I needed. You would not believe it if I told you. I get there, I launch the boat, and I'm primarily throwing my BFS in a drop shot. That's all I was getting bit with. And again, like, I'm at a body of water that has a huge variety of species. We're gonna go ahead and lay into it. It's gonna be good. Everything will be great. I get out there and I had them biting on a couple of different presentations. And I caught, 3 rock bass up there that were all under 8 inches. Absolute horseshit. I was fuming at this point. I caught a bunch of other, and up there, like bluegills are on beds. You know, there's bluegill beds all over the place, and they're just nipping at plastics, tearing tails off of shit. But again, like I'm looking for species that kind of fit this mold. Caught another big yellow perch. I did add that to increase my overall inches a little bit to upgrade the yellow perch I had entered, but again, nothing else. Wouldn't you know it, on my way back into the ramp, now I put a good 7 hours in. I was on this body of water for a time. I come back in and I hook the biggest largemouth I've ever hooked in this one body of water. Just 17-incher. A great fish. And I'm like, you've got to be shitting me. It was in like 23 feet of water on a drop shot because I saw these marks and I'm like, all right, well, we're a little bit deep now. Maybe we can get into some trout. Let's try this. Let's try this. Let's try this. I throw the drop shot out there. Bang. Hook up with this one just absolute fantastic largemouth. Pull and drag the whole nine. Great fish. I'm like, this is awesome. Nice size fish, you know, but not at all going to help me. So I leave that day. That is Tuesday. I didn't fish Wednesday, but I did get out on Thursday again. Now, Thursday, like I said, this one body of water I was at on Tuesday does have some trout in there. And I've caught browns and I've caught rainbows in a bunch of different spots. And I've kind of got some spots marked seasonally that'll work out well. So I went where you go in Western Massachusetts when you want to catch trout. The mighty Swift River. Right? Super pressured body of water. But Thursday was that day, like one of the first days that was really, really hot, like stupid hot, like 92, 93, like it was up there. And the nice thing is about this river is that it only ever gets maximum to about maybe 55 degrees. Like I left the ramp and it was 52 degrees. The water had just fog coming off of it. It looked like it looked amazing. It was majestic, you know. I go and I'm throwing around one presentation, and it's landing. You know, things are good. Things are happening, and I hook into a brookie. Right, like sweet. This is awesome. It was like a 5.5, 6 inch brook trout. No big deal. But I got a photograph this time of this brookie because it was right out from the launch. This is like my third cast. I get a picture with this brook trout. Guys, I am not bullshitting you when I say I have been lit up in the comments for posting this picture because this brook trout has a little bit of blood coming out of its eye because this is a tiny little fish. And it hit this little 16th ounce swim bait, 2-inch swim bait, right? Thrown on a 16th ounce tungsten jig. It hit this, and the hook point was just coming out from the eye. You guys know that, like, sometimes that shit happens when you fish, right?
Oh, yeah. It doesn't matter, though.
I have been getting just raked over the coals for this. Now, that fish I released right away. It swam off. Everything was good. I'm like, you guys have got to be shitting me. I did, however, take one of the stream queen, Caitlin Conti's tips of taking a negative comment and pinning it and just like letting it kind of like build conversation from there. We'll see how that does in the coming weeks. But it started, you know, it kind of started. But I was like, you guys got to chill the fuck out. Well,
it happens.
Yeah,
it happens, dude. Like fish bleed, but yeah. I'll tell you right now, I have literally thrown away really, really, really good content because I got a fish bleeding. It's just not worth it. I try my best. And you know what's funny, man? It was such a little amount of blood. In the picture, I didn't even notice it. Like, I made the picture my lock screen on my phone. And I'm like, you can't really see, but it's a live photo. So when I made the reel, you can see it run out. And I'm like, oh. Like, just put a caption on there that says, "It's okay, I ate it." I could have, you know? I mean, although... I'm like, you've got to be freaking kidding me. It was ridiculous. I get a little further downriver, and it was right around like 9:30 in the morning or so, and I hook into another brookie, same presentation, and this was 7.5 inches. Like, no good for the derb. So I fished that river for another 5 hours. Not a bite. Not a bite. I mean, there was some entertaining shit that I had seen along the way, and I had a good time doing it, but holy shit. So I left, and I went, and I was recording content, too. So I had my GoPro going, and I was recording a bunch of stuff, and I decided I was absolutely famished. I have this thing. I don't know if you guys do the same thing. I don't like to eat breakfast most days
before I leave. You know, like I'll have a little something to put a little bit of like salt and minerals in me, and then I'll drink water, and that's it, you know? So when I get off the water, when I ask people that question in the interviews about like, hey, where are we going after we're done fishing? It's usually because I'm hangry at that point. You know what I mean? I'm not, you know, I'm being completely honest here. John Hagans actually suggested a really great spot. We have plans to go there soon. So, I go and I grew up in this town right near this this area where I was fishing my entire, from the years of 11 to like 25. And I had never eaten and I know I don't want to offend Zech, but there they have grinders. They're not hoagies. So I ordered this grinder called.
Is that like a weird Tinder or something?
Yeah, something like that. No, it's technically a grinder.
I mean, they are long
sub.
and full of meat.
Can we have a scoreboard? Because that's one for Pat.
I'd fuck me.
Oh God, I brought out Uncle Frank. Look out.
So what I did was I ordered this sandwich without even reading the description, just because it had a great name. It was called
The Burner.
And it was this. Anyway, the review is on the video. I put it at the end, and some of the comments have come in, and people are just like, "That sandwich looks amazing," and that might be a thing. This is like my second sandwich review when I've gone out fishing, and it hasn't been necessarily amazing. Although actually, the first sandwich review was the other way around. The sandwich was meh, and the fishing was great. So maybe there's a parallel line there that I'm not sure of. So that was Thursday. Friday, I did not go out. I had a bunch of stuff going on. We're getting a little bit closer with the boat. Got some paperwork in to handle for insurance and everything. So once all that stuff is all set, we'll be on our way. Saturday, I had plans to go out and fish with my buddy Paul. The old Polish Hammer and I. We're going to go and hit the water. Now, generally on my weeks, what'll happen is like, you know, it gets to be about Tuesday, Wednesday, and I'll text Paul and I'm like,
hey, bro, you want to get out and fish this weekend?
And then it's maybe Friday morning. I might be like, yeah, that sounds cool. I'm available or something like that. Like it's forever. So I told him this week, I was like, you pick the water. Let's go. I don't even give a shit. Like, I mean, I've just been like, I just want to catch fish. I don't even care. I'm not even thinking about the scavenger hunt. Let's just go out and catch them. And, I had been looking at the weather and I was like, Saturday, it could rain early, but it might be a really, really nice day for some topwater. It might be. And it was. So I had, just the day before, had gotten in the mail the June box from Dark Horse Tackle, and that is the topwater box. And let me tell you guys, there were a couple of baits in there that I was really, really interested in throwing. And I wanted to start with one that was a prop bait. And Zech, please chime in with the maker because I don't have my card in front of me.
Anthem Baits.
It's Anthem, that's right. So I got to tell you, like...
From Texas.
This is an amazing prop bait. I did an unboxing to show it off. It's got an aluminum prop on the back that spins so ridiculously freely. And it's unbelievable. And so I'm like, I want to throw this and see what it's all about. I did not realize until I tied it on that the line tie swivels.
Yep.
Which 100% improves the overall usage of that bait. If there's one thing that bothers me about every single other prop bait I've ever fished that's on the market, there's a fixed line tie and it rolls out if you move too fast, if it just blows right out. And
they roll over on themselves. Like they will actually roll over on themselves.
Oh yeah.
This one will not.
And that's the whole thing. So you can see it in the video that I'm editing now. I just do a few retrieves. I didn't get any bites on it, so I changed up presentations. But you can see it in the video. It just runs. It's like dead on. It's like, wow, that is crazy. And I'd like to think that I put together this kick-ass combo for this, and I definitely did. But I've thrown other prop baits since then, and yeah, they kind of waver a little bit. It's like you use like a sweet spot. But what's nice about that swivel line tie is that you have a lot more flexibility. If you want to burn it, you can burn it. if you want to like just crawl it at a snail's pace, you can do that, and it's gonna run straight. That's very, very cool. So, Anthem.
That's the one that had the single-sided prop.
Yes.
Right? Because I saw your video on it.
Yep.
Yeah, all right.
That's exactly it.
I was wondering how that thing ran.
Unbelievable. And it's a big bait. Like, it's a good size plug. It really is.
I gotta make a little shout out to our boy Cliff Pace. Cliff Pace makes a balsa bait called the Battle Toad. That is that Anthem bait, a little bit smaller, but it's a balsa bait with the same prop system on it.
Oh, really? Okay.
It's sick. It's sick. It's expensive, but it's sick.
I'm sure worth it though. Yeah, that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
Badass. That's the bait right there.
Oh,
yeah,
yep,
Joe's showing it off. So I go and I give this thing a handful of casts. I'm not getting even so much as like a sniff from anything at all. I'm like, all right, cool. Pop this back here. The other one, and this is the one that I was like, conditions are really like speaking to me.
It's rat weather.
You know what I mean? We got clouds. We got very, very, very low winds. Water is like glass. A lot of folks, like when I would fish with Sean the Fisherman, he's like, this to me is screaming floating jerkbait. And he's not wrong. 100%. I just love the rat awake bait. You know what I mean? I love that I can crank it and go a little subsurface. I love that I can go real slow and get that articulating every single which way. And typically I throw like a lot of like the more popular rats, like the Spro BBZs. They don't make those anymore. But the 40, 50, and the 30 sometimes I'll throw. And those are just different sizes. It's a 2-piece jointed rat. I was throwing this rat that I was lucky enough, and I want to give a shout out to Adam Blomeke, and his entire team that played Fishy Trivia at Oldfields during the Columbus Expo weekend this last February. They had split up the quarterly box that was the prize that they had won at that during the trivia game. And Adam was like, oh, I know you like rats, man. Here, take this. And Joe has one of these rats. And Zech said it the best. This is one of the most over-engineered baits.
It's actually different from the one I have.
Oh, is it?
The one you have, yeah, the one you have is awesome. I mean, mine's good too, but yeah, mine's different from the one that you have.
Oh, really? Okay.
What's the difference? Just the color?
No. I have a totally different one.
No way.
It says EB on it. It's not the same one, is it?
That is not.
Yeah, no, it's not.
That is not the one. That's a different box.
Yeah.
That's what I thought.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
This rat, there was one thing specifically, and I talk about it in the video that's in there, that I thought was like what was getting it done. This rat is silent. It's a one piece, and just that swimming action, the only thing you hear are those split rings. That is all. And I caught 3 fish on them. I got all 3 hook sets on there. One of them shook off as I was going to put it in the net. And I was like, there was the second fish. And I'm like, okay, that's 2. That's a pattern, man. We're going to stick with this. So I fished this other area, and I fished the hell out of it until the bite kind of ended over there. And then I said I was going to shift gears. So then I brought out the BFS combo. Again, bluegill beds everywhere. I was just cycling through bluegill. I caught 2 white perch on that trip, both of them under 8 inches. I caught a crappie that was under 8 inches. And then I caught a crappie that was 8.5 inches. Yes, a point. So, Paul and I get off the water shortly thereafter. We're making our way around. We had to run in with some jet skiers that were just like...
so stupid.
I don't really have another way to explain it. They were just dumb. We're trying to load our boats, and they insist on doing their stunts, I guess, right near the water, right near the ramp, where we're just dealing with all the chop and all the wake. And we're like, yeah, no problem, guys. Eat a fucking dick. It was just ridiculous. We hit the road. We call it a day. I can't believe here we are. We're going into the end of June, and I just fired up my grill for the first time this year. What
are you doing?
Yeah, I know. What the fuck is wrong with me, man?
I run that bitch all year round.
Yeah, I'm like, in the winter, I'm like, it's all good. Maybe you should have named your boat Under 8. Oh, no, it's the implication. Y'all voted for it. It's the implication. So anyway, that brings us to today. So we got out, what was it? Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and then today. Now, today has to do with what you guys heard in the beginning of the show, what kicked off, that FTG that was over there. So this is how my day started out. I actually wasn't planning on going to fish, but my wife neglected to tell me she had another tattoo appointment today. So that meant I was just sitting on my ass doing nothing this afternoon. So I figured I'd go ahead and I was like, screw it, I'm going to go fish. So the kayak was already hooked up. Trailer was already hooked up to the truck. I just jumped in the truck and went off, did my thing. I put the same gear in, as far as I bring everything out on my kayak when I go, regardless of what's going on. I just kind of want to go and just catch fish. I went to a super close lake right nearby me, and some of you guys that have listened to the show previously already kind of know the kind of bullshit that I've had to deal with over here regarding parking. Boat ramp parking, man, can be so crazy. So I roll up to this spot, and I can see that there's an abundance of vehicles parked down there. This parking area has 2 levels. The upper level has standard parking spaces for cars, and then the lower level has 4 trailer spots, meaning that the lines are additionally long for parking a trailer there. One of those trailer spots is a handicap spot. So I come down, and I see 3 cars eating up the trailer spots, and then 1 car on the opposite side of the parking area where it's painted on the ground says no parking. It's right in front of the launch. Another car right there with a dude standing on the ramp actively fishing. I go and I make my move and I pull into the handicap spot and put my flashers on. I grab my phone and I call the local PD because this has happened so many times, and so many people keep saying, just call the cops. Just call the cops. So I do. Call the cops, and I'm like, hey, this is who I am. I'm over at such and such boat launch. I have a trailer with me, and there are only 4 spots here, one of which is handicapped, and it's the only one open. These other vehicles don't have trailers. Can you send somebody down to either ticket or tow these guys? She says, yeah, we'll send over an officer right now. I said, fantastic. So I get out of the truck. And I go over and I tell the guy who's fishing on this little point right over there, I was like, hey, man, just a heads up. You might want to move your vehicle because the cops are on their way. They're going to start ticketing and towing. And he's like, oh, shit. Okay, cool, man. Thanks for the heads up. He goes and moves his truck. And then the dude that's fishing the ramp comes over and starts to give me a bunch of attitude. He goes, well, I wonder who called them. And I was like, I called them. I go, I called them because I have a trailer. That's what these spots are for. And in order for me to park down here, I need to park in a handicap spot. I'm like, no, thank you. That's not going to fly. I'm like, I'm not going to get a ticket because you guys don't park where you're supposed to. And for the record, the upper level with the standard parking spots was empty. Everything was available up there. It was entirely empty. It was absolutely empty. Yeah. Oh, it gets so much better, guys. Oh my fucking God. So
listen, just a suggestion, buddy.
Yeah.
If you ever want to take the speak softly, carry a big stick approach, just park behind them.
I have considered that. I have considered that. I was like, I could put my truck and the trailer right up against them, launch my boat and be like, yeah, fuck y'all, or I could just block the way out. I could, because it's a 1 car length wide. I could just pull right up that hill and leave it. Then everybody's fucked. But anyway, so this guy starts cussing me out, giving me a bunch of shit. And I wish I would have thought about and actively not let myself get so wrapped up in it. Because, man, I started fucking hollering right back at him. It's like 8:30 in the morning or some shit, and I'm calling this guy a beep, bleep, 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 bleep. What am I doing? I'm every fucking slur is coming out. You eat a bag of dicks, you fucking cunt, blah, 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 blah. Like, it is just all of it. And this guy is like, he's just, and I was like, cops will be here in no time. You tell them why you parked where it says no parking. And I'm so fucking fired up. What I really, really wish I would have had the wherewithal to fucking remind myself was just as soon as he stopped, just go,
you done?
That's it. That's what I wish I would have said.
That's one of my favorite moves.
I know. But just something about the whole situation just set me off so fast. And I'm like, this would have been fucking bad. So this guy takes off. I'm guessing he just straight up left before the cops get there because he's like a boy toucher or something like that. Or maybe has a fucking record and was like, I can't have police fucking around here, blah, 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 blah.
Or no fishing license.
You know what I'm saying? Could have been that too. Wait till I finish the story. I don't think any of that shit fucking mattered. Okay. So he takes off. I'm rigging my stuff. Cruiser comes down. Right. And I go and I talk to the officer. I'm like, look, I called. I'm like, here's the deal. This happens, all the time. I go, I live 10 minutes away from here. This is what I fish for easy access. You know what I mean? Just go, throw the kayak out, do my thing, have some fun, catch some bigs, whatever. I go, I come down here 7-8 times a month. There is always vehicles that are parked down here with no trailer, I mean, they're parked in the wrong spots. What do we have to do to get some signs or whatever? He's like, well, that might actually be a city thing. He's like, because I'm not sure if this is our jurisdiction or if it's the state or whatever. After looking up some signs, it's not his jurisdiction. It's not. So he's like, as far as signs go, you're going to have to reach out to the state, which is fine because I've actually had really great conversations with the environmental police in the past regarding shit for the podcast and guests and questioning laws and all kinds of shit. They're an open book. So I'm going to be doing my part to get some signage over there to figure this shit out. And the cop says to me, he goes,
this isn't really something we hear about too often.
And I'm like, really? I'm like, huh, that's interesting. I go, normally if there's at least one spot, I'm not going to call the cops. But I go, if I have to, I'll just call them over and over and over again. You know what I mean? So that you guys are hearing about it. And he's like, I'm not going to, ticket anybody. And as we're having this conversation, and this wasn't in the phone call because I totally forgot about it. As we're having the conversation, the kid that moved and left that spot open, the one that I was going to move to after I launched my boat, some motherfucker in a van that was friends with this kid comes down and pulls into that spot. And I look at the cop. I tell him, I go, look at this shit. This is what I'm talking about, man. I go, it happens all the time. People will come down with a kayak and they're like, oh, I got to launch my boat. I'm just going to park right here. It's like, I understand that maybe your brain isn't putting together that those long lines in between the spots mean that it's designed for a trailer, but that's what it's there for.
So you got cut off by a van down by the river?
Mark it 2. That's 2 for Pat. Mark it fucking 2. And he gets the fucking balloons.
I got the balloons.
I love it. I love it. So I go and I'm like, I go, all right. So he's like, I'm not going to ticket or tow anybody. He goes, you can just park wherever you want to. He's like, nobody's going to say anything. And if something happens, he goes, if something happens, just come back to us and like, we'll handle it. And I'm like, are you for real? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to park in a handicap spot. I'm not a dick. I'm many things. I am not a dick. Like, I'm not doing that. He was like, well, just park right here, up along the side right here. He's like, launch your boat, leave everything right here. And I go, so you want me to park right here where it's painted and it says no parking? Okay. I'll go ahead and do that.
So 18 million times you go there. And you get ramped up and pissed off over people not doing what they're supposed to do.
Yep.
And then the one time when you actually
do something about it,
you can't help it, and you do something about it.
Yep.
A cop comes over and says, "Oh, it's okay. Just calm down. You just do whatever you want." Dude, that's the worst.
That's the ridiculous.
Worst. It is the worst.
Why are there fucking laws?
It sounds to me like he gave you the golden ticket.
That's what
you should have shotgunned a beer and hit a bowl in front of him and like.
I'm gonna start freebasing fucking. I was like, what the fuck is this? Why are there fucking rules for any of this shit? You know what I mean? But now that I know that police department is useless as far as getting anything done there, now I know what door to knock on to actually get. Because if there's signage, it's end of fucking conversation. You know what I mean?
Bobby, you willing to give up the town?
Yeah, it's East Hampton, Massachusetts. The pond is Nashwauk.
Oh,
yeah.
I don't know anyone who works East Hampton. Fuck.
Yeah. No, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah, I was like, I'm there all the time. All the time. Like the trout guys fish over there, and they're like, I mean, they park in those fucking spots all the time. The only reason I haven't called the cops when they're down there is because there's generally one spot. And in the past, I've said to them before, I'm like, hey guys, where am I going to park my trailer? Well, now I'm just going to fucking leave it at the ramp. Like in the water. Just leave it fucking in there.
So if you read between the lines, I'm pretty sure that cop called you a Karen.
He 100% did. 100%.
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, 100% he did. But I'm like, what are you supposed to do? I'm like, here I am. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to be proactive. Like, let's do something. It's more about the sign than anything else.
But then the state police come in with their big fucking campaign hat and their big old boots and fucking gives Bobby the ticket of a fucking lifetime and tows away the beef mobile. It's like, well, this fucking asshole.
That's what I'm saying.
Fucking tow him.
I'll be like, no. Officer Guy over here at East Hampton PD said,
Hey, man,
got a golden
just
ticket.
fucking be cool, man. Fucking park wherever the fuck you want.
And the best part is that state trooper comes and you're like, oh no, that guy said I could park there, and he'll be like, I never fucking said that.
Yeah, that's exactly it. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me, man.
Or like, he has no jurisdiction here.
Yeah. Oh, this ain't even my area. Like I'm just rolling through.
I mean, I suppose I do have some family in the towing business. I could just fucking do what I want. You know what I mean? Yeah. Can you guys move these cars and then just dump them at fucking Oxbow? Could you guys
Like
just fucking
Pat
do
said,
that?
golden ticket.
Yeah.
I got the golden ticket. Fuck you.
There's probably no more room for cars in the Oxbow.
I was so fucking angry. So I'm like, you know what? Fuck this shit. Let's go fish. And I was like, I don't know why my head just immediately goes to, all right, let's go and fucking pick off some fish for this tournament, for the scavenger hunt. I go down to the deepest part of the area, and I'm like, I'm going to look for some trout here. Every single presentation I threw, I got walloped on. No bites. Like no hookups. Yep, like short strikes. Just like they were just tipping and just hammering it. And this was like I'd throw. I mean, we're looking at like what 15, 16 foot. And I'd let the bait hit the bottom, and I'd just crawl it on the bottom and just bang, and then nothing. I'm like, you got to be fucking kidding me. I eventually had enough of that, and I was like, you know what, man? I'm just going to go flip a jig and see what we can come up with. And boy, did it pay off, because I hooked into a nice largemouth under some overhanging trees on a half-ounce jig, leadfreebassjigs.com, the Pro Rocker with a beef craw on the back. And one of the things I like to do, I posted this all over the place with the same question. What's your favorite jig? That's my go-to jig because, again, Massachusetts, actually, I say that Massachusetts is a lead-free state, but apparently, according to Officer so-and-so,
it doesn't fucking matter.
So I've been using lead-free jigs, but apparently, no, I should just pour molten lead right into the lake. It's fine. So I go over and I'm throwing around this bait. It's my favorite combo. Black and blue trailer, green pumpkin jig. I don't know why. I just like the contrast. And it was one of these things where I'm just like skipping this jig underneath the brush. It hits. And it was not like any of the bullshit. Remember when I was talking about that jig bite where I caught my new PB? And like it was such a delicate. I saw the line moving. I never felt the bite. This was I was feeling that bite, and just like hook set, non-BFS hook set, just bang. And I caught two. One of them was like 14. The first one came in at about 16. I was like, all right, this is cool. This is fun. I head back to the ramp, and here we are. It was a fishy ass week. It really was. 4 trips out.
That's awesome.
It was fucking nuts. Let's go ahead and just we'll jump right in. Actually, Joe, we're almost at an hour and a half right now. Do you want to take a quick break and then do headlines and hot topics and with FTG and everything in segment 2 and then wrap up for segment 3? What do you think?
I'm good for anything, man. I just opened a new beer. I'm good to go.
All right.
If you guys want to take a break, I'm good with that too.
Fuck it. You guys want to keep going? We can hammer right through it.
Yeah. Yeah, let's have some news.
All right, let's go ahead
Fucking
and
grip it and rip it.
Grip it and frickin' rip it. Are you ready? Here we go.
Says the flogger.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I have a feel-good story for you today. You ready? You ready for this one? I don't know how this happened, but we're going to talk about it and we're going to see.
Yes.
So, the headline, this comes from Fox News, believe it or not. So, fishermen in Mississippi pull off dramatic rescue of 38 dogs treading water. 2 anglers and their fishing guide heard barking from a distance while fishing in Mississippi's Grenada Lake. What started as a day on the water with a friend turned into a full-on rescue mission of 38 dogs. Bob Gist, 61, a state farm agent in Arkansas, decided to go on a fishing trip with his friend Brad Carlisle, also a state farm agent in Tennessee. After not seeing each other for a while, Gist told Fox 25 Digital News. The 2 men headed into Grenada Lake in Mississippi and got in touch with Jordan Cressman, a local fishing guide, who led them out onto the water. After fishing in the early morning hours and not finding much luck, the group moved to a different location. We go about a half a mile or so from from another place, and we start fishing, and pretty soon we can start hearing a bunch of dogs barking. Pretty soon we then begin to see dogs on the horizon in the water. The dogs are part of an annual fox run that takes place in the area. Gist said he learned after the encounter. Cressman noticed a deer in the water, and the group of dogs were attempting to chase the animal. All 38 of them. What am I missing?
No, just
and like a good neighbor, yeah.
Like a good neighbor.
I should have left that out.
And then fucking where the fuck was Jake?
So they went on fishing for about 10 or 15 more minutes, and Jordan said, "Hey guys, if you don't mind, we really need to go check on those dogs because they're way out there in the water." So they agreed, headed over to the pups, and once the boat arrived on scene, the 3 men were left stunned. We were just flabbergasted because there were dogs everywhere, and they're all going in different directions because they can no longer see the bank on either side, and they're all hunting dogs. Yeah. They're all hunting dogs, and we can clearly see that because they have expensive GPS radio collars on them.
Oh, Jesus.
And without hesitation, the men took the dogs onto the boat so they wouldn't drown. So I'm looking at this boat right now. It's like a bass boat type boat. From what it looks like, it's hard to say because it's full of dogs. And the crazy part about it is they actually all have numbers spray painted on the side of them, the dogs.
Oh, for the training? Okay.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
So 3 fishermen grabbed as many dogs as they could and fit them on the boat before running out of room. Cressman managed to gather 25 to 7 dogs, making sure none of the pups attempted to jump back in the water. Once the men returned the dogs to the bank, they found the owners in a panic and calling out for help. After rescuing the second group of dogs, 1 man on land told Gist and the others that he had the GPS tracker for the dogs and asked if he could join in the rescue. The tracker led the other men to an additional group of 3. This is on land. We got back over to the ramp with the last bunch of dogs, and we were having to drag them out of the boat because they didn't want to get out of it. They were scared, wild. And they were going back to the water. It was terrible. The owner of the dogs tried to pay them, but he refused to take the reward because, like you say, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. So all unaccounted dogs were found and, went back home. All of them were in good health and all of that. So I'm looking at this now, and this is a straight up bass boat, literally covered in dogs, where the guys have a standing room only.
I just saw the picture, and I'm like, that's unbelievable to see.
Yeah, so a nice feel good story. It's pretty wild, but yeah. So that's the only. Actually, that's not the only story I have.
Ooh.
So this is kind of like a troll. Joe's going into trolling right now. You ready?
Okay.
So John Clark named the new general manager of Skeeter Boats. I have a message for John Clark. John, get your fucking shit together because my boat is jacked up. I paid a lot of money for it, and I got a bunch of fucking ding-dongs that can't figure out a wiring issue that are your warranty friggin' mechanics. I want my boat back. It's been a month. I'm losing out on money. Get your SHIT together and fix it, because I'm getting pissed to the point where I'm going to friggin' leave Skeeter behind and then just continue to bash you on social media. Get my boat fixed. It's at Reynolds Marine down in Connecticut. Get their shit together. Get my boat back up and running, because I'm sick of not having it and sick of paying the payment for it to sit in fucking pieces in their garage.
Yeah.
We go. Look above. Show. Look at what Meg put up there.
Oh God,
John.
So I've held back ever since I heard that you had a Skeeter.
Oh yeah.
But I've only ever heard Josh rail against one boat company.
And it's Skeeter.
And it was Skeeter.
You know what the crazy part is, Zach? And I think I talked to Bobby about this a little bit. I was like, a lot of people have them around here.
Yeah.
And so it was like the one boat I guess I spent the most time in before I bought a boat. So I was like so hell bent on getting one. Like I was like, and this is what I get. This is what I get. I mean, outside of that, I love my boat. It's got some quirks that I don't like but after this, and we should just do an episode on this, the whole COVID boat. I mean, I'm sure you guys have heard, I've kind of talked about it a little bit, anything from that 21 to 22 model year where, the factories was half shut down and the boats just weren't the quality that they needed to be. So I'm probably going to get rid of this fucking thing because of that.
So it's a warranty, right?
Yeah,
it is now until next year.
So just throwing this out there. I took my 2020 Ford in for a warranty issue, and they had it for 7 months.
Wow.
I sued Ford over making my payments.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
While they had it for 7 months, they gave me loaners. But listen, I bought a truck because I need a truck. I don't need your little
right.
rice
Ford
burner,
Fiesta.
whatever.
Yeah.
Right.
Maybe Skater needs to make your payments while they got the damn boat.
Yeah. It's at that point where, I'm going to try to work. If they don't have that thing fixed this week, I'm going to be like, well, pack it up. I'm sending it down to my guy, and you guys are paying for it, not me.
Yeah. See, I was going to say, I think that might be the move.
Because you obviously can't fucking figure it out.
Yeah.
And I'm sick of them telling me like, oh, we're so close. Like, it's not a fucking rocket ship we're working on. It's a fucking boat. Figure it out.
It's, know what it is with a lot of the times with the warranty stuff, it's about loss. So like if they have to put too much work into it or parts, they're counting every single component that they're changing out, everything else, instead of doing it the right way and saying like, oh, there's a wiring issue. And like you said, doing the entire boat, bow to stern, like the whole thing. Let's just rewire the whole thing because clearly something's up and getting it done. Now they're spending all this time. Think about the amount of labor that they burn doing that,
Yeah, it's
a bean counter has to sign off on every single thing they do.
It's nuts.
Yeah. It's what really got me is when he started talking about, oh, we might have to send someone up from Skeeter. Skeeter might have to fly somebody up here to figure this out. That I'm like my mind is blown. You spend almost $100,000 on a boat. I shouldn't be having these problems.
No.
Like,
not only that, but do you fix boats or don't you, buddy?
Yeah.
Fix the boat.
Not to mention if it's that crazy of a problem, it's like they should pay off the rest of your boat because you just found something that's like so crippling on their product that like they need to know about this. Like they need to get ahead of it. It's like finding a new virus on an apple that Apple couldn't have. It's like Apple should pay you for I got this computer that's got this virus you told me you couldn't get. Like same type of thing. Like
Yep. I guess where it like really strikes a nerve with me is like So like people mention like lemon law and stuff like that, which in Massachusetts there is none for boats.
Yeah.
FYI. So which I looked that up last night. But the other thing is too is there are some people. This is not fishing obviously is not my livelihood.
Yeah.
But when I retire in essentially less than 2 years, like my goal is for it to be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if it was not like Zech, like he brings it in, they give him a loaner, like no questions asked. That doesn't happen with a boat.
Yeah.
Well, I'm missing tournaments where I could have, won some money and had more money in my pocket, but I'm missing out on those now.
Yep.
I missed out on some critical stuff on this fishing trip that I just took to where, there was now one less boat that was supposed to be there. So it's like, they got to figure that out. So that's what I'm going to tell. Like, I need, you got that nice fucking brand new Skeeter right there. How about you hook that up the back of my truck and I'll bring it back when you fix my boat.
Yeah. It would get them moving a lot quicker.
Yeah.
You know?
So that was my quick little news trolling. Had to fucking vent a little bit.
I
Love it.
I could definitely see where you'd be. I think you've earned a trolling moment, to say the least. To say the least, man. That's pretty rough. And so let's go ahead and talk, because there's some big shit happening next weekend. There really is. Next weekend's a big weekend. I don't know if you guys are aware of this or not, but the fucking Jigs and Bigs Bass Tournament, the slot tournament, is next Saturday.
Shit.
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
It's next Saturday. And everybody was so stoked about this tournament when I announced this back in like March that we were doing this. It was March or April. And registration's been open since May 1st. And we've got 10 anglers in here. We have.
Well, I hope they can handle me, because I'm coming. Good luck, y'all.
Bob.
Good luck, y'all.
It's just,
Good luck.
it's so many people are afraid because of what happened last year.
Because of the
That's
weather.
all it is.
Yeah. I really hope so. I really do.
Once that forecast gets closer, it's gonna it's gonna spike.
I'll tell you. So I'm gonna look right now at the forecast for like what Saturday is looking at like right now. But keep in mind, this can absolutely change. Saturday,
sure.
In locally to me, we've got partly cloudy skies with 80-degree high, 65-degree low, no fronts scheduled beforehand, and a little bit of a cold front happening on Sunday. So it looks juicy. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But,
You know what? I heard something, Bobby. I heard that if you are a Dark Horse Tackle subscriber and you place in the top 5, you get your next box free.
That's right.
Oh,
yeah. That's right. We talked about that on another show. That's awesome. Yep. Let's shout out some of these anglers that are in here, because some of these are anglers that they're in here all the time. So we've got Amanda Hunkler, we got Binya. We've got me, Daniel Sudo Jr., Dave Urkey, representing California. In fact, Dave had reached out to me and asked a few questions regarding rules and stuff. David Hunkler is with us. We got John Hagans, our guest from the Beef Seat this week. He's in this derb. Robbie Munier, Sam Cruz III. I got good news for you, Sam. And then Zech.
Todd S. just said he was signing up after the show.
I love that. That's the way you go, Todd. What did he say? He says, I don't look at the weather, but I'm free. I'll sign up after the show. That's the name. That's one thing I have to do this week. I have to get out and pre-fish the lake I'm going to. Who knows what's going to happen? Who freaking knows?
It's funny.
Also, got to throw it out that when I was fishing with Matt this week, he said he's probably going to end up signing up for it. So
nice.
And I'm probably going to meet up with him Wednesday when I go fishing. So
bring it.
Yes, I will. I will be probably handing off my catch board since I'll be working, so I can't fish it. So Matt, I'll let Matt hold on to my catch board.
There you go.
So he's got 2 spots he's debating on going to. So I know that was part of our conversation.
You know what's crazy, Bobby? Like, even if I did have the boat back then, that new spot I hiked into yesterday.
Yep,
dude, I might go to that because
really
every fish was in that slot limit, and it was literally
awesome.
Every other cast.
That's awesome. Is it
Yeah.
public,
Get 'em.
Is it public water?
It is. It's
yeah.
literally just like in the middle of the woods.
Yeah, yeah.
I like. We looked like Jeremiah, me and the twins. We looked like the Stand By Me boys, like walking down the train tracks to fucking find it. As I'm on my phone looking at it. I kept fucking with him. Like Jeremiah's such a nervous little kid, dude. I'm like, I was like, hurry up. He's got like Crocs on. He's like tripping over himself and trying to get across.
Come on, Vern.
Dude, I'm so excited. I'm so excited for this because you know what's gonna happen, right?
What's that?
I'm gonna break my PB like 16 times on Saturday. That's what's gonna happen. I'm gonna catch
You're not gonna catch one. You won't catch one in the slot.
Yeah. You're like, oh, why is he so happy? He only put one fish in. You're like, oh, because he caught a bunch of 22s and 23s that didn't count for shit.
Yeah.
So actually, let's talk a little bit about the rules here because Dave Urkey had reached out with some questions. He was like, so, he had a friend of his that's into doing it, and he goes, how does this work? Is it like, best of 5? No, this is like a catch-em-all style tournament, meaning that every single fish that you catch that falls within the allotted slot from 12 inches to 17 will count toward your total inches. Those are the only fish that count. Someone had reached out and they're like, well, what if I catch like a 19? Can I put it in as a 17? No, you can't. That'll be DQ'd. It's got to be within that slot, not larger than and not smaller than.
So if I catch a catfish that's like 16, I can put that in, right?
It's got to be a black bass.
Oh.
Yeah,
just check.
It's got to be a black bass. Now there is something that I did notice in the rules, and that David asked about, and the reason why it's in there is simply because there's no way for us to be able to verify it. Is that you can use live bait?
Nice.
Yep. Go ahead. It's not going to help you for the slot. You know what I mean? And that's the point. Is to try to.
You're just going to catch a bunch of 22s.
Yeah, you could. It could happen. It might happen. It probably won't. I'll climb trees if
throw shiners.
Make sure you get reception, Joe. Yeah,
I'll send Jeremiah up the tree.
I did have
that is it. You don't have kids to have kids. You have kids to have soldiers.
That's what
Make
that's
work.
Right.
Make it work.
That's right.
There was one question that came in regarding like what is public water, and I was like, a good indication is if there is public access to that water. So something like a boat ramp. That's going to tell you right there that you've got the ability to access that water. We had one
Right, or lack of people with guns.
If
there's nobody pointing a gun at you, you're probably okay.
One of the questions that came in was like, oh, I want to fish an HOA pond that is owned by the HOA. And I was like, well, is there public access? And he was like, well, if community residents there's no fences and there's no signs, but if you live in that community, you can fish there. And I'm like, that's not public water. That is private water that residents that are within whatever section have the ability to use, but it's not public. You've got to be able to access it publicly.
Josh disagrees with you wholly, but
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Well, you just reminded me, Joe, talking about the spot you guys went to hiking. There's a spot near me that's it's the local nature conservancy bought this plot of land several years ago and put a hiking trail that goes down to this pond that was on a lot, and like it's a long hike down in the woods. You can't really, and some of the trail is thin and stuff. It would be impossible to drag a kayak or anything down there. But it's shallow enough that we used to go down there with waders and just walk around this section of pond where we're like 50, 60 yards off the shore, but the grass comes out like, 20, 30 feet from the shore. And then there's like patches of lily pads out from that. So you can just like go out in waders and just work in between them and cast back and forth. And I actually got in an argument with some kids that rolled by on a canoe one day, and they're at first it was all nice and stuff. They're like, "Hey, what's going on? Blah blah. How you doing?" We're like, "Oh, good. Oh, you catch anything?" Yeah, like I caught like a couple 2.5s and a 3, and and their mood just immediately changed, and they just go, you're on private property right now. I was like, yeah, well, I came in through the public hiking trail, and I'm in 50 yards out in the water, so this is anybody's property.
Yeah.
Like, there's public access, and I'm on anybody's property right now. So you go ahead, call whoever you want to call, but I'm not on the property.
Careful now. If your feet are touching the ground, that is property.
That
in Rhode Island,
if you were floating in the water,
it depends on the state. It depends on the state, but you might be okay.
Yep.
But if
in
your
Rhode
feet
Island,
are touching the ground, line. You could
property
be
goes to the water line.
Yeah.
So as long as you're not out of the water.
I've had somebody come up on me like that while I was wading the creek, and they're like, "This is my property." I'm like, "Dude, I'm in the water." They're like, "No, you're on my property." And by law, they were actually correct.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's something that differs by state, and it just. Yep.
John Hagans says that he uses Zillow to look at property lines, and then he goes to the open house to get snacks and stuff, and all that. I don't blame him. I would do the same thing. Make write like a bunk check for like a deposit and be like, "Yeah, we're interested in this property. Blah blah blah. I see you have a pond. Is it all right?"
Yeah, bring a rod. If you catch something off the dock, you're more interested. Well, let me see if something bites. If I at least get a whack, I might think about putting in a bid.
Oh, I freaking love it. I love it. All right. Do we have anything else for this first set? I think we covered pretty much everything in this first block, and it was a doozy. Yeah, actually, one last thing that I got to do. I have some raffle winners. I don't want to make them wait until the end of the show. Let's go ahead and welcome some winners for the May Scavenger Hunt raffle. I told you I was going to have them, guys. Our prize for Hookset Hoodlums, that's going to Steve Hack. NACO's little prize pack right there is going to Steven Gonzalez. This works out great. Zech, I don't know if his headphones are on, if he can still hear me, but if he can, there he is. He's right there. The Dark Horse Tackle Prize goes to Sam Cruz III. Sam had jumped in here earlier, and I said, I was like, I got something for you, Sam. And Abe Lures, that's going this month to Stephen Galloway. Nice job. I love that, guys. I love it. Let's take a quick break, guys. We're going to come back around. We got Just the Tip for you. We got Gear of the Week. We got FTGs, more FTGs. And then John Hagans coming up in the beef seat. And then we're going to wrap this sucker up. We will see you guys. Do not go too far. Much more Jigs and Bigs goodness coming up right after this. Jigs and Bigs wants to take a moment to say thank you to our partners for helping us continue to push the limits of our fishing adventures and bring you amazing long-form podcast content. We need to thank Dark Horse Tackle, Omnia Fishing, Abe Lure, The Bay House, and The Ship Motel. We can't forget about Three Bells Outfitters, Torres Sunglasses, and of course, Reaction Tackle. Be sure to check the description of this podcast for any associated affiliate links or promo codes they've generously provided our listening audience. Again, we cannot thank our partners enough for their support. Please consider supporting them and supporting the show in the same process. Thanks. Hey, you. Yeah, you. The one with the impeccable taste in fishing podcasts. Bobby Roast Beef here with a little call to action for all Jigs and Bigs listeners. We're opening up our hotline to you. Now you can call us to sound off about almost anything at 413-324-8519. Want to submit someone for our FTG segment? Call us at 413-324-8519. Care to maybe suggest a topic for Just the Tip or Bait of the Week? Call us at 413-324-8519. Maybe you just want to give us or anyone else a little shout out on the show, or you want to suggest a guest for the beef seat. You guessed it. Call us at 413-324-8519. The Jigs and Bigs hotline is there for you to leave a message with us 24/7. Just call 413-324-8519. Also, you can check that number in the notes of this podcast.
And perhaps play a little game called Just a Tip. Just for a second, just to see how it feels. Or, ouch, ouch, you're on my hair.
Okay.
Well, maybe, just maybe, you wanted to know a thing or two about how to flog properly, you know? Maybe you like to be flogged. Maybe you don't even know what flogging is necessarily. Well, Joe learned a thing or two about flogging this weekend, and he's going to share all of his information with us.
It's also called underwater viewing.
Okay,
but, a lot of. So many of you, when you watch like the Bassmaster Elite or the Bassmaster or help me out, guys.
MLF.
Yep.
Holy crap! I just went full artard right there. So you'll see a lot when they're on the St. Lawrence River or the or any of those big waters like the Great Lakes, anything like that for the big smallies, those clear lakes. A lot of times you'll see something on the front of their boat, which kind of looks like a big fat road cone in a way with like a handle around it. And you'll see them kind of, dip in the water and looking through it. That's because it is an underwater viewer. I had never used one before until this trip up the St. Lawrence River. I mean, mostly because our water just isn't clear enough here. It's so murky. But man, was that just gave a whole different perspective of like being able to see exactly how fish react to your baits on the beds, or even, how you can see them guard and fry or in around the rocks or anything like that. So I definitely highly recommend, if you have the opportunity. They're not cheap. They're like $200 or something like that. But if you have the opportunity to use one and if you're with a second person, we'll just say St. Lawrence River, for instance, in that, beginning of June time frame to do that bed fishing, give it a try. If we didn't have that thing, we would have missed so many fish and hookups. I mean, because we were able to run those baits, one person on the flogger, one person running the bait, and them kind of guiding you like, all right, bring it left, bring it right, bring it left, bring it right, or, set the hook. And there were so many, opportunities we would have missed if we didn't have that. And like the biggest takeaway I took from it is seeing those smallmouth behaviors on those beds and around the rocks in that exposed bottom, those shell bottoms with all the zebra mussels and shit. It was just a cool and like wild technique I was able to use. If anyone has the opportunity to give it a try, I highly recommend it. Even if it's just to kind of really see what the patterns and the behavior of those fish are in different, different types of, vegetation or rocks or whatever. So
like analog live scope.
Yeah. Nice. That's exactly what it is. Yeah. Yeah. Legit. Yeah. Old school.
Also, to flog properly, you need two men.
I guess.
Just curious.
So
flogging cast.
You know what?
Sounds like a bar.
I'm sorry.
Like
two anglers. You need two anglers. Could be two men. Could be two women.
Yeah.
Could be a man and a woman.
Women are into flogging too.
Yes.
I don't fucking know why they call it flogging, guys. Okay, it's just what it's called.
I don't know. I did look it up though because I was interested, and I was like, I wonder what does a flogger cost, and I just happened to look on the Googles, and it looks like you can get
BDSM.com.
Yes. I was.
Bobby, please put up Nick's comment. Because because
a Dutch rudder.
I've never even heard that before.
I'll tell you what a Dutch rudder is in a moment.
Thinking about what
Dutch
a Dutch rudder is.
You've never seen Zach and Mary make a porno?
Yeah,
I have. I remember about
Dutch rudder.
25% of it.
Oh
hold my
wow!
cock.
Yeah. Cross.
You work my arm, and I work your arm.
Look it up.
Nick goes, "Don't look it up." Don't
All
look
caps, and everything.
His Canadian sensibilities have been so offended by no, but like if you wanted to, try this out, like you could get into a flogger for $100 to $200. It looks like, I would avoid searching for a used flogger on Facebook Marketplace because that could be a spiral.
Make sure you search fishing flogger or flogger fishing.
Flogger
Don't
fishing,
search just flogger.
But hey, $200 is better than
Like
$2,000.
$3,000 for live scope.
Yeah, for a live scope.
It's
It's dude. I use live scope, and seeing that like with my own eyes, like in person, like it showed me much more than live scope would when it comes to behavior and everything.
The
How
idea
come
of the
nobody
fish.
bitches about Aquaview?
I think
How come?
that you're at the mercy of the water clarity. I think that's what it is.
I suppose.
I think if there was one thing, I would say you're probably at the mercy of the water clarity. Same thing with flogging.
Weren't they doing that last year up in one of those clear water fisheries? I'm sure they were.
I don't think in tournament.
I'm sure they were.
I don't think you can use those.
They can use them in pre-practice though.
Oh
yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
For sure. Shit.
So they can go and just literally videotape the entire freaking thing, find everything, and mark their little their little deals.
I will say, make sure you guys are watching the Fish or Die socials, because another thing we were doing during these hooking these fish, was we had a GoPro on a big pole, going down. So we're actually able to, record with the GoPro the actual strikes and stuff like that. So
that they were able
cool.
to flog properly. You got to put the GoPro on a big pole.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
By the way, Fish or Die.
Flogging and GoPros.
What an
on big
amazing
poles.
company.
Yeah.
Thank you, Joe, for the introduction.
Oh yeah, no problem, man.
Absolutely. Taylor is a hell of a dude and absolute blast, man. Working with him, everything else. Great thing. Fish or Die coming in August.
Yeah, Zech bailed out this past week.
I did, dude.
That's a lot.
I got to keep people's power on. It's hot out here, man.
It is.
Shit's
It
breaking down. Air conditioners are running. It's bedlam, dude.
It's
Nothing's worse than being an HVAC technician right now.
Oh, no, fuck
I mean,
that.
it's a bitch, but like you're making money. You know what I mean? That's a nice thing. So yeah, flogging. Give it a shot. If you're, try it out. Try it out.
Actually, it's funny because
Who the fuck is Joe Brown says flogging? Give it a shot.
I hope Meg stopped watching.
it's funny because when I was fishing with Matt the other day, he was talking about an idea for making a no scope club for next year.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, all right, now I got to talk to him about flogging. Is there any flogging allowed in this no scope?
I didn't know Matt was a no scoper.
No, he's not.
Okay.
It's not that he's that way, but he's just like, I was thinking about like throwing together like just a little club like once a week, like whatever, like the half. 8-10 fucking times out for the year, and we'll still do the point system and stuff, but just for fun. Like
you do see a lot of those popping up now, where folks are just like a little disenchanted with tournament fishing, and they're doing that, but it's all good. You know what I mean?
I gotta say this. I got a little bit of a platform here, and it's been killing me. I gotta say this.
Fire away.
No scopers.
Yeah.
Consist of three kinds of people. The people who either can't afford it,
For sure.
the people who are too cheap to buy it, or the people who can't figure it out.
Yeah. Yeah. Because it's not a magic button. If it were, more people would just buy it.
I'm just saying. It's just another tool. Anyways, I'm good. That's all.
That's it. Yeah, we'll go on a crazy fucking tip. We'll have to do like a round. We've been talking about doing a roundtable episode about
on
it.
Technology.
We'll save it for that.
We got to get around to doing that. I hope you guys are ready. We have a couple of FTGs for you that are really, really fantastic. Buckle up. So we had two calls that came in this week, and I would like to say this first one we're going to get to from Tony Pellegrini. We haven't heard from Tony in a hot minute. It's been a little while. First one we're going to get to, actually, he is not the only person who had reached out to me via social media with this. So let's just dive in.
Hey, Joe, this is Tony. No, not from Fresh Baits. Tony Pellegrini. I got an FTG for you this week. Whoever the hell keeps keeping their text tone on while recording the podcast, you've made me reach for my phone 8 times this recording.
That's Bobby. That's not me.
Thanks.
I think last week it was a combination of all of us because I could tell exactly where mine were. I was getting text from Lockwood sending me videos of the dildo cannon, which shall be revealed shortly. And I was dying when these things were coming in. That was the only a couple, but there was a bunch, and I was like, wait, what's that? I remember that part. Who's that from? So it may have been Josh. Sometimes I think this is one of the few episodes where all of us hosting, we're all on max. All of us, I think. And I have, because my work, I mute all of my notifications for all my text messages, FaceTime, all that
What's
stuff.
Max?
So Macintosh. Mac.
Max.
Yeah,
Max. I
yeah.
thought you meant Max X Max.
Oh, no. So our computers,
okay.
like we get a text message and I'll get an alert on my upper right-hand corner. I'm like, oh, okay. So I think that might have been playing into it a little bit, but again, it did get to the point I was like, I know I was hearing it while we were recorded. I was like, it didn't really stand out to me. And that last episode, I happened to decide I was going to QC, and I'm like, oh yeah, that was kind of all over the place. But there were like, I mean, when I say many people, at least 10 people reached out and were like, dude, mute your phone. I'm like, all right, I will. I mean, this week I muted my phone. So anything that you guys are hearing is not coming from
mute the phone. But from now on, make sure there's like a little bug crawling around on the screen.
Oh my God. Fuck that. That would drive me insane, man.
I kind of had that last week when I was fighting that fucking yellow jacket.
That's right. Fucking yellow
I got
jackets.
I got Draco down here next to me, so I'll let he likes chasing that shit, so I'll let him get bit in
the lion.
So now for this next FTG, this is a two-parter, and it comes from Topless Timmy Jakes. This one's important. Here we go.
Hey, Bobby, Joe, Tim Jakes here. Got an FTG, or a couple of them, an FTD too. Morning, launching that favorite Congamon, go to the south ramp. I pull in, and there's a dedicated area right next to the wall to pull your boat in so you can back it in easily right to the ramp. And then right next door is the first trailer parking spot. So, of course, I pull in, and you got a trout guy sitting right against the wall, lawn chairs right in the, pull-up lane, and then his truck in the first trailer spot, obviously with no trailer. He's sitting in the truck. Looks at me as I pull as close to his front bumper as I can, and he's just sitting there and sitting there and sitting there. No offer to move, no nothing. I have to do like a 3-point turn in order to get the trailer to back in correctly. I just threw my hands up in the air and said, fuck that guy. Unbelievable. The other one is Sunday driving to Mass Pike, going about 70, towing my boat, going to a tournament at Quinsigamond. First light, all of a sudden, maybe 75 yards in front of me, deer standing smack dab in the middle of my lane. Oh, shit. What do I do?
Oh.
I'm freaking slamming on the brakes, not screeching them up. I have the open lane to the high-speed lane. That's where the deer was headed. And then I said, fuck it, I'm just going to aim for the ass end. I aim for the ass end, go into the breakdown lane, do a quick little tight swerve because you can't swerve with a boat on the trailer. That'll fuck you up. So I missed that deer's ass by inches. And when I say inches, I think there was a tuft of fur on my boat trailer. There was also a tuft of shit in my underwear, too. Holy crap. Look out for those deer. And that's the fuck that deer segment. See you guys.
That you know what? Knock on wood. I've never had it happen to me with a boat on the back, but fuck, that must be terrifying.
Oh yeah,
like you said, it's not. I mean, granted, my truck. If I swerve that thing fast, I'm probably gonna have a bad day anyway.
Oh yeah,
but
you're going flying.
Yeah, but
can we coin the phrase "tuft of shit"?
Tuft of shit.
Yes, I think. I dare to say, I think tuft of shit is the new birch tree. I think tuft of shit is the new birch tree in the Jigs and Bigs nomenclature.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Nomenclature. I love that word.
It's fucking good.
Yeah.
Tuft of shit.
Tuft of shit is good. I love Tim.
Is that like right below prairie dog?
Tuft of
right
shit
above. I really got to go. Yeah, tuft of shit.
Tuft of shit would be. I
guess tuft of shit is after prairie dog.
I would say it's after prairie dog, and it's probably more fear orientated than anything else.
It's like a tuft of shit is like when the prairie dog head touches the ceiling.
It's an akin to a shark.
It says it's a little more than a rosebud.
It's a little more than a rosebud.
Oh my god.
In case y'all are wondering, this is coming from good old Saint Nick.
Good old Saint Nick. Park the tuft of shit next to the bowl of skunk ass. There you go, John. Oh my god. Oh my god. You know what? We're kind of going to talk about a tuft of shit here. It was a little bit of a pattern that was working. You'll understand why in just a bit.
Okay, gearheads, it's time to talk tools. Jigs and Bigs Gear of the Week.
Yes, baby. Yes. And we get to talk about a lure that a style of lure that I love, and it's the rat. It's a wake bait. It's a big wake bait. Big wake baits are great. They're fun. It's just exciting fishing. But one specific rat that I used this week that I'd been hoping that I would get a chance to use this summer, and I got to throw it. It's from Sack Pig, and that lure is it did the freaking job. It's the One Piece Mischief Travel. And I think I actually had reached out because I had confused the maker of when I was recording this. So I tried to cut out all that shit, but you might hear me misspeak. But yeah, it is the Sack Pig One Piece. And it is hands down one of the most over-engineered lures that I've ever seen. I'm going to put Zach up there so you get a good view of that rat. Now, Zach, you'd mentioned something specifically about the internals of that bait. Go ahead and explain exactly what that you were talking about.
Sure. First of all, I would like to point out that Michael over at Sack Pig, Michael is the guy behind Sack Pig.
Oh,
he offers this little deal, which is different than the tail, than a soft plastic tail. This is called the booty shaker.
Yeah.
This has got little BBs in it.
Oh,
I heard that.
Yes. So,
okay.
But anyways, what you were talking about, Bobby, is so first of all, Michael goes insane over micro balloons, which is how the resin is made.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to butcher this because I am not Michael and I am not that crazy, genius crazy. But what you were talking about is the the way the bait is constructed. So this is a resin bait that he pours and makes in his garage
laboratory.
And this, yes, laboratory, not the bathroom. Is it laboratory and laboratory?
Yes.
Does one have a B and one have a V?
Yes.
Yeah.
Are they two different words?
They're two different words.
Holy shit! I never knew that. Amazing. Freaking amazing. So, guys, never stop learning.
That's what
Even
I'm saying.
here on Jigs and Bigs on a Sunday night, you can learn something new. Anyways, so there's this booty shaker is connected to an eye screw, okay?
Yep.
And this eye is an eye bolt that goes all the way through the entire freaking bait.
Yeah.
These hooks are connected to swivels and cords that are connected to that bolt. This thing will never come apart. Ever.
Yeah. That is
It
rock
is
solid.
extremely over-engineered. This is a freaking tank.
Yep.
And I mean, this thing will take a hit and it will catch them. Michael was one of the first, Sack Pig Bait Company, Michael from Sack Pig Bait Company was one of the first people that ever answered the call for the quarterly, the Dark Horse Tackle Quarterly.
Oh, yeah.
Which was, dude, it was a bitch to get guys in on that because, well, these guys that make these amazing garage made swim baits, wake baits, and all that other stuff, they don't really need Dark Horse Tackle, to be honest with you.
Yeah, because they kind of already have the cult following.
Yeah, they sell out immediately. I mean, they make six baits are gone. They make 50 baits are gone.
Yep.
But Michael was one of the first to answer the call, and just because he wanted to participate, which was freaking
It
rad.
was fucking awesome. I remember we talked about him on the show specifically.
Yes.
Yeah.
But now I would like to correct something that Bobby said at the very beginning of the show. You cannot get these baits from Dark Horse Tackle.
Oh, you guys, they're not in the bait shop.
No, we offered them once in a quarterly box, which the quarterly box has been put on the shelf for a while. We don't know if we'll ever bring it back. But you can get them at sackpig.com.
Yep. Sackpig.com.
This particular model, which is the same model you were throwing, Bobby.
Yep.
Is $80. Now I think getting the booty shaker is a little bit extra, but it is worth $80. But anyways, yeah. So no, it's completely over-engineered. It's an amazing bait. You can do a lot with it, and I highly recommend.
I'm looking at right now. I want to see if it's possible to order the booty shaker on its own. Oh yeah,
I believe it is.
Yep, you can order the booty shakers on their own. That is beautiful.
I like that booty shaker because that's one of the things you mentioned earlier, the Spro Rats.
Yep.
And when they first came out and I threw them, and the first year I was throwing them, I was averaging like almost 3 pounds of bass on what I was catching with them. And the thing I loved was they had those bearings.
Yeah.
So like as you're walking it in, you just hear that chink, 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 chink. And so like that's why when I saw that I was, oh, that's awesome. And especially if you can buy it and just throw it on, yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool because you can do one of two things. You can either have the soft plastic tail on it, or you can put the booty shaker on it. I actually have two of them. I've got one with a soft plastic tail and one with the booty shaker on it, and I throw them respectively, whatever the scenario warrants.
I have the one with the tail, and I love the swimming action of the tail. What's nice is that it's really buoyant. It floats so unbelievably nicely.
That's because of the micro balloons.
But I am going to reach out and get some of those booty shakers because that might be the jam. I'll tell you, when it comes to rats, like I've thrown like the BBZ rat, and I love the BBZ rat. It's great. The 50 it's super loud. It's got I'm gonna mute Zech's mic real quick. There we go. I love the rat profile, just a big wake bait in general. Usually because they're loud. You know, that's really what it is that I'm looking for. I like a bait to get that attention. What I like to do is throw these over submerged weeds that are, you know, close to the surface, but not crazy over. And a loud bait will get that attention and get bit. I was throwing this, really, I was kind of skipping it. And it doesn't skip great. It's kind of a mess. But I was going up as shallow as I could and bringing it out under some trees. And this sucker, and you guys will see in the video, it got smoked. Both of these, all three of these bites, the two fish I managed to get to the boat. I mean, it was a really, really good thing. And I should have actually thrown it a little bit more today, but it seemed like today they were just looking for that jig. But yeah, I would highly recommend check out sackbaits.com, and that's Sack, SACPIG, Sack Pig Bait Company. Go ahead, check them out. Look at the Mischief Travel one piece. There's other varieties. If you really love a two-piece rat swims really nice too. But go ahead and send it. It's good shit.
Yeah. Hey Bobby, what weather conditions and water conditions were you throwing at?
So I've had the best experience with overcast skies and low wind, more calm water. That's when it's been the best.
Nate, can I show off something real quick?
Yeah, go for it.
There we go.
Now, what's this guy? Look at the bill on that. That's got to kick like a motherfucker.
So this is, I don't have the tail on it, obviously, right now. This is made by a guy out in, I believe, Nevada called Check Baits. This is actually made out of skateboard deck.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Awesome.
It's pretty phenomenal. This is actually my second one. I never got to throw my first one because I had it sitting out at the very first Columbus Expo.
Oh no!
And
don't tell me
somebody walked off with it.
Are you shitting me?
Oh, geez.
Yeah. Now listen, whoever you are, maybe you're listening, maybe you're not. Maybe someday you'll hear this. Fine, you took it. You better catch fish on it.
Yeah, goddamn better.
That's all I'm saying. But this was sitting next to my sack pig, my sack pig Mischief, and I figured I'd like to show you guys this because, Anthony Ortega from Check Baits does a wild job hand making baits.
That's pretty badass. I do like throwing big rats, man, big wakes in general. I think it's not the biggest wake that I've got, but that Bruce Gillis has caught me some big fish.
Nice.
Has caught me some big fish.
The wake that Joe has that he was showing earlier from Expedition Baits, that Sally, the Sally salamander.
That's what it is.
That's a really wicked wake bait.
Yeah. It's a fun bite, you know what I mean? And
she's a heavy bitch too.
Yeah.
I say wicked and it doesn't sound as good as when Joe says it.
No, Joe.
It just doesn't
because it's natural for me.
Yeah.
Wicked.
Dude,
Fucking
let's
wicked,
go
dude.
get some grinders.
You're not in the right
that
region.
would be wicked.
Up here, everything's.
See, no. Joe says it, and it's like he's saying the word "the."
It's true.
Like it.
Exactly.
It just works. It just freaking works.
So my daughter said "wicked" the other day. I was so proud.
That's awesome. Oh, dude.
Yes.
Yeah.
Although she did say, she's like, that's wicked fucked up. That's.
Actually, funny while we're on it. But one of the twins, Jeremiah, we were down at the lake earlier today, and he got mad at his brother, decided to call him a PUSSY. I was like, oh, whoops. She's like, Meg's like, I wonder where he learned that from. I was like, oh, I don't know.
By the way, Joe, I don't know how it keeps happening, but I am still running into boxes that have drawings on them.
Really? Awesome,
that I have not noticed. There has to be there's like an entire treasure trove. Like every box I look at is an Easter egg.
That's awesome. That makes me so happy.
They're one of a kinds. You know what I mean? They're just one of a kind.
Yeah, they're one-ups, dude.
What we were going to do. Oh, that's right. Pat, we were going to talk about the top 10 for the scavenger hunt currently.
Oh, yeah.
The way it looks. We're gonna be
the drums.
Yeah.
I know Sean's not here anymore, but we used to roll out drums.
We did used to roll out the drums.
As a jighead.
So let's go ahead and go through it. Like, what do we have so far? We have a couple of big ties in here, specifically around 6 points. Cheryl Bentley is in 10th place right now at 5 points. Now, I should say that we have a number of other anglers entered that are at 5 points. Cheryl Magdiz, we've got Timmy Jakes, we've got Nathan Grant. They're all at 5. 6 points is where things get a little interesting. You got Bobby Roast Beef in 9th, Chrissy Radwilowitz at 8th, Eric Graves in 7th, and Brady Reservoir Reaper in 6th place with 6 points. Brody Davis at 7 points. That's job, awesome. Brody. I'm stoked to see that, man. That is freaking awesome.
Yep.
Brody.
Yep.
I'm coming for you, Brody. I'm going to get that 7, and then I'm going to get that 8. I'm coming for you, Brody.
I'm going to get a strongly worded email from Brody's mom. Robbie Munier at 9 points. Nice job. Second place right now at 11 points, we've got Liam von Valkenburg, which is just the most it just sounds like such a regal name. You know what I mean?
It sounds like he's going to kick your ass name.
It sounds like he is going to kick my ass in this tournament and in life. And then, it wouldn't be the scavenger hunt if Tim Behan wasn't sitting purdy in first place currently at 12 points right there.
Nice.
So that's your top 10, and we will have more coming up in the I guess we have this week is the last full week of the Derb. Registration is open for July, by the way. I actually haven't even entered for that one. I should. But registration is open for July. I'm going to get August, September, and October just blasted out soon. And we've got more Jigs and Bigs coming up in just a bit, guys. I got John Hagans in the beef seat. We're talking big-ass catfish. We're talking carp. We're talking Mexican food. We're talking bass fishing. We're talking rigging kayaks to the teeth to get fucking interesting. We're talking about sketchy river systems. Oh, you name it. We have ourselves a great segment coming up with John, and then we're going to wrap this sucker up on the back end. Don't go too far, guys. More Jigs and Bigs coming up right after this. Hey guys, Bobby Roast Beef here from Jigs and Bigs. If there's one thing I can't stand spending money on, it's on something that's not versatile, something that I can't get a lot of use out of. I want to talk to you about Frost Buddy. What Frost Buddy is it's one of those can coolers. I've seen these before. In fact, I have some that are limited to only fitting one specific size of can, like a standard 12-ounce can. I stumbled onto Frost Buddy, and I was blown away with it. So versatile. Fits standard cans, tall cans, slim cans, and even 12-ounce bottles. And the magic is the insert fits all of these items in various stages within the insert. And when you take that out, you can fit a full 16-ounce tall boy can. In fact, it even doubles down on being versatile with the coffee lid. And on my recent trip to Chickamauga, I had a field day with this thing. I was throwing beer cans in it. I'd have coffee in the morning. On the drive, I was throwing in all different sizes of cans for different canned coffee products to keep me awake on the long drive back. The thing was amazing. So I recommend you check out Frost Buddy. If you're in the market for either a travel cup for your coffee or a can cooler at all, either one of those, check it out. For the money, you cannot go wrong. What I've done is this. In the show notes for this podcast you're listening to right now, if you look there, you'll find a link to Frost Buddy where you can get yours. And not only can you go and get your Frost Buddy there, but you can help out the show as well. Go and visit that link in the show notes to this podcast. Check out a Frost Buddy. Tons of colors, tons of patterns, all kinds of great stuff. And it's a great spot to put your Jigs and Bigs sticker too. Take it from me, Bobby Roast Beef. You're going to get the most versatility out of this one product, probably out of anything you're ever going to buy, especially for anything that you're drinking. Frost Buddy. It works for me. I'm a happy guy.
Oh Lord, there he is. It feels like a big one. Please don't let me lose him. I've never caught one this big before. I'll try not to horse him. And if I land him, I promise to release him and make a graphite replica if my wife says it's okay. Thank you for the Rappalos. Amen.
Bobby Roast Beef here. We got a brand new beef seat guest this week. We got the one and only John Hagans. And you guys, you've heard that name multiple times. John is an Ohio angler, and he really does chase like after all the species, all of them. He's sort of one of the go-to names when we're talking about real heavy hitters in the multi-species scavenger hunt that we host. John's been at this for quite a bit. I've had the pleasure of meeting John in person at the Columbus Fishing Expo just this last year, and it was awesome. John, glad to have you on the show, dude. How's things?
Things are things. Been a little busy lately.
I haven't had
a whole lot of time on the water, but we're getting ready to get back into it this weekend.
Nice. Have you guys been dealing with that heat that's been going through?
Man, let me tell you, I got balls sticking to different legs every day. It's hotter than hell here, dude.
We're just getting into it. It's fucking shitty.
Yeah.
I hate it.
Yeah, it's been a rough go, and then I've been bouncing around shifts at work, so I've been on second shift this week, and it's just hotter than hell in that building.
That's rough, dude. That is brutal. It's one thing if you're working third shift all the time. Like, I mean, you know, and the older you get, it's hard. You know, it's tough. Yeah. I got a buddy of mine who insists on working third shift, and he's my age. He's going on 50. And he's like, I don't know how many more years I have of doing this. But the worst part is, if they juggle your shift around, that's like, oh my God, it's like crank, you know?
Well, I was on day shift last week, so it's been trying to adjust. It's terrible, dude.
That makes sense, man. Well, you know the deal. I love an origin story. We want to know how you got introduced into the outdoors. Like, what was the progression like? Did you always start out just kind of catching all sorts of species, or are you, is this something that you just grew to love?
It started about 4 or 5 years old, man. I've been doing this for a long time, and it started in my great grandparents' backyard. They lived on a creek, and there was bluegills and bullheads and big carp, and then of course the occasional turtle. So kind of been a little bit of a creek rat and grew into a river rat as I got older. But yeah, I mean, it started, believe it or not, we talk catfish with me all the time. At one point when I was younger, I was all about bass, and I wanted to be the best bass angler I could be. And then kind of found these fish that eat bass.
Absolutely.
So we actually, when I was young, there was an old bait shop at one of the local lakes we go to, and they used to, the old timers would catch great big flatheads, and they'd keep them, lop the head off, and they would put them on a telephone post outside the bait shop, and you'd drive by and just see all these big monstrous looking fish heads on the thing. Like, where do I get one of those?
Yeah, exactly.
So it kind of became a hunt from there to try and figure out how to catch those. But my first big catfish was when I was probably about 8 or 9, and my dad used to take us out. And,
nice.
Putting a big 5-pound channel cat on the bank, and you just kind of stoked from there. Like, I want more.
Yeah, exactly. So, they're amazing creatures, catfish. They are. They really are. I don't think they, like in the bass world, I don't think that they get the credit they deserve for as really like interesting as they are. But now in where we are up in the Northeast, we're pretty limited with catfish. In fact, a few months ago, I was, having these visions of going out and doing some heavy catfishing, and I looked into some of the state records for Massachusetts, and it's not impressive. It's really not. It makes me think that maybe I don't necessarily need to go as hard in the paint with equipment as maybe I once sort of thought. But where you're at, that's a different animal. You have some very large catfish that you can catch.
Yeah, Hoover Reservoir in Columbus is actually becoming a top fishery in the state for the blue cats.
Really?
They started stocking those in 2011, and like I said, I got one that was 60 pounds last year. And crazy. 20 pounders are common at this point. And I fish from the bank mostly. I can't wait till I get my kayak, but I'm stuck at the bank right now, and a lot of people are like, well, you can't get the big ones from the bank. Well, yeah, you can if you just put in the work and do a little research. I am heavy at using Navionics maps.
Oh, definitely. Even as a bank angler, it's unbelievably helpful.
Oh yeah. When you just got to look for something different on the bottom in the structure.
Yeah.
Follow the channel. If you're fishing a lake, follow the channel. Look for the deep ledges. Look for cuts that go up into short water or shallow water where the bait's going to travel. Well, them big blues and flatheads are going to follow.
Yep.
The blues are more nomadic though. Flatheads are pretty much homebodies. So what you want to look for with them is heavy structure. If you're like a river rat like me,
yep.
Look for look for the outside bends.
Yep.
But when you're looking for the flatties, though, you want to find those deep pockets with wood, and then access to bait.
Gotcha.
They don't move. They don't move very much. They might move an hour a day, and then go right back and just rest for another 23 hours.
Really? Okay.
I do a lot of reading, and a lot of stuff you find is true. Like they do not move.
Yep.
And sometimes when it's tough, you got to get right in the shit to get to
I believe in that. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of my my thing. It's been a rough year for me though. I haven't got a whole lot.
Yep. I feel the same way with a bunch of different species. I think as we get into summer, it's just been a little bit more of a grind. I'll tell you this scavenger hunt for June, dude. I've had a lot going on, like buying the boat and all that stuff, but a lot of distractions. I've still been getting out there 2 to 3 times every single week. And it's like all the fish I'm getting are, I'll give you a good example. So over this past weekend, I fished 3 straight days, and then I fished on Tuesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then on Tuesday. In that window, I caught 5 rock bass. Every one of these motherfuckers came in at, what was it? Something like just a hair under 8 inches. I was catching brook trout, all of them 5-6 inches a pop. I'm like, you got to be shitting me. And it's mental because like they're biting. I'm finding them. It's crazy. Let's talk about some of your the way that you fish. You mentioned that you have a kayak on the way. Let's talk about that. What are we looking at here, man? This is exciting.
I am looking at the Ascend 133X, and the combo I'm getting comes with a motor because
yeah,
I like it because it's a long bastard. It's 13 feet long, and you're a big dude. I'm a big dude.
Yep.
I'm over 6 foot and 300 pounds, man. I'm not trying to go down with the vessel.
No.
So
yeah, no.
I'm looking to outfit it, pretty much for what I want to do is just drifting for cats and maybe doing a little dragging and stuff.
Yep.
I haven't done any kayak fishing in a very long time, so even when I do get it, it's going to be a slow go because I want to get back used to it, and I don't want to do anything dangerous because safety is number one for me.
Oh, for sure.
So I'm going to piddle around in some of these creeks where if I tip over, I'm not going to drown. I just need to stand up.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's real smart.
So it'll be slow and go, but eventually I want to get like some of the guys that are around here that do the big river kayak fishing and stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Get closer to the Ohio and stuff. When you think of the Ohio, it's kind of a fast moving river, but it has its days where it's like glass. So those are going to be the days I focus on. I want to get out there and kind of learn and get used to it. So, of course, I was down there. I've only been fishing once in the last 3 weeks, and it's shitty for me.
Yeah.
But I was down in Portsmouth on the Ohio, and I had one big takedown. And me being a hardhead, I usually retie my knots before I go because I fish in a lot of heavy cover. And I had one big takedown, and it broke right at the damn, right at my damn knot.
No.
So the one rod I did not retie, and it got the takedown and broke off. And then the boaters and the lake lights ruined the rest of the day. So idiots on jet skis in the river, it perplexes me, especially when the water is up and you got a lot of deadhead logs floating around.
Yep. Yeah, those are great conditions to have it ruined by frickin' Kyle taking his dad's boat out or, his jet ski or whatever. It's the worst, dude.
We had a guy that his jet ski kept dying when he was out there and he had to float. He'd float downriver, then power it back up and try to go up a little further, float back, and he finally made it to the dock. But I'm like, dude, why'd you even take it out?
Yeah, if it's that bad, like, oh, that's shitty. That's rough, dude. So as far as like, what do you say your favorite species is to target?
So for me, it literally goes by the season.
Gotcha.
Usually the beginning of the year. I'll start with smallies and crappie.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody loves smallies, man. They fight just as hard in the wintertime as they do in the summer. Yeah. And then once the crappie start moving in, they're fun to go after too. So I like crappie. They're underrated too. A lot of people like to eat them around here, and they bitch about the some of the population seems to be smaller, but at the same time, these are the same guys that are pulling up with coolers full with 100 crappie. Like, oh well.
I wonder why. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
It's like, connect the dots, dude. Come on. That's pretty awesome.
Then as we get into like spring, and that's when usually around April, it's catfish for me.
Yeah.
Blues, you can get them all year, but once that water hits about 55, the flatheads are starting to move. Channel caps are starting to move a little bit, or you'll get them in the wintertime too. But right now we're headed into the spawn, or pretty much in it.
Yep.
You can still get the cats, but then I'll kind of change my direction, and I'll go after the white bass and the hybrid stripers because they're fun to catch too.
Absolutely.
Even though they're not in the tournament. I was one of the idiots that kept putting them in the tournament when I first started doing that with you guys.
Oh, I hear you. You know, I think it was Cheryl Bentley who made this suggestion initially. She was like, maybe you should do a category that's like any species of freshwater fish. So it could be like an additional point. So, you know, you lunk into a drum or something like that. Like you can use that for that fish. And if you catch like another off species and you increase the size, so maybe like, I'm trying to think, what do we have like around here that isn't on there? Fall fish is a good example, right?
Yeah.
Fall fish.
That's about the equivalent of one of our creek shows, our honeyhead shows.
Same idea.
Down here. I kind of looked at those.
Yep. Yeah, they're basically, I mean, it's, from what I understand, it's the largest species of minnow. And these things, I'll tell you what, like since I started throwing the BFS gear, they're fun. Like a tent, man, having that tooth out is so crazy. I don't think I mentioned this in the beginning, guys. If I sound weird, it's because I literally 2 hours ago just had a tooth extraction. And the lidocaine is still sort of doing its thing, although it's starting to mellow a little bit. But so that's why if you hear anything weird, that's probably why. I've got to adjust to the new mouth. But yeah, those fall fish, like you catch a fall fish, a big one would be like 10 inches, you know, enter that into that category. But then let's say I travel somewhere and I catch like a hybrid or something like that, or a white bass, and they're not in there. Then I can pop that in instead if it's like a 14, and that helps build my overall inches. And I'm like, that might be a good idea, Cheryl. I don't hate that.
Yeah, that's I think I threw it out to you guys late last year about the possible, like the what did I call it? The just an ace in the hole fish.
Yep.
Just that one random fish in there. Because I used to like the NE5, but the one part I hated about it was people entering fish that are already on the list. I think that would have been awesome
if it was different
fish that were not on. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, that would have been a good idea. Because that's the thing. You're catching a bunch of pike. You go out and that adds up so fast. You know.
Yeah. As we get towards fall, I know I love to catch buffalo too.
Oh hell yeah!
I've got a 30-pounder under my belt, and I'll tell you what. I got a TikTok. I don't have a lot of videos on there, but I have a video of me fighting that 30-pounder.
It's a big fish.
They're awesome, and they eat some of the smallest baits. Waxworms.
Yeah,
they'll eat waxworms, trout worms, small crayfish, and occasionally I'll get them on leeches, or I'll get them on a jig that'll look like a leech while I'm fishing for a sawguy.
Gotcha.
They're pretty awesome though.
That's another species I would love to target. We have so few walleye, saugers up in this area. There's just select bodies of water where you can find them. I don't know that we have any sawguy at all. I know that there's walleye. We had somebody recently in the tournament just enter one in, and I'm like, no kidding. I'm like, all right. I'm always interested to know what bodies of water have them. They're in the Connecticut River, but like it's sketchy where you have to find them.
Yeah, the Ohio has all three: sauger, saugeye, and walleye.
So a lot of these species of fish that we're talking about here, there's a couple of names for. Some of them are really, really awful. Like people say trash fish all the time. I've heard recently the term rough fish.
That's an Ohio term.
Yeah,
we call them rough fish.
Yeah, that was a term that I heard recently, and I think that there is something to be said about fishing for these species that aren't so much in the mainstream. Not your bass or your trout or even like your snakehead and bowfin. Like they have their niche. It's like all this other stuff is often under celebrated. A good example of somebody who's out there like just killing it, or a couple of content creators I'm thinking of, is Josh Pig Patrol. On YouTube, man, I love that he goes after all these different species, and
he is a funny dude. He is funny,
yeah, and he's got great personality, and like his videos are very entertaining. And then another guy is, have you ever seen 618 Fishing? This guy's name is Nick.
Yes, he catches a lot of bowfin.
He catches it all over. And I mean, his videos are so unbelievably well produced. And he goes out there with like some of the craziest stuff for bait, like old pork chops and stuff like that. And he catches some giants. What are your favorite like bodies of water? Like I see like a lot of those dudes fishing like spillways and stuff. We don't have those around here too much that are accessible. Lots of times they're fenced off and it's like, oh, danger or whatever. What are your favorite bodies of water though to go and find some of these off species?
Dams the spillways are number one, especially in the summer. Like the heat, as long as the water's running, you're looking at oxygenated water, and a lot of fish are going to concentrate there, especially bait fish. I'm a gar guy. I love gar.
Yeah,
and we get some monsters down here. There's actually an oxbow off the side of the river that I want to hit that I've seen. I'll occasionally stop and see what's swimming around in there when the water's down, and there are some massive gar pushing 6 feet down there. These are just long nose.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
We don't have gator here. We have short nose, or we have long nose and spotted here. We do have some short nose, but they're harder to find. But the long nose is the most abundant. And literally on a hot day, if you're not doing any good on anything else, and there you see them breaching, it takes a bobber and a piece of dead bait, and you just set it about a couple feet below the surface. And it's the same principle as catching the gator gar, where you see them catch it, or they'll snatch it and they'll swim down river with it.
Oh yeah.
And you just wait on them to stop and turn. You know they got it down in the mouth, and you're going to get a good hook set. They are a blast.
That's actually what my next question was going to be regarding gar. I've heard that they're hard to hook. Like their mouths are really bony or armor plated, and they're hard. So that's the technique right there. Let them run.
Yeah, they have really narrow mouths, and it's. I mean, you get the guys that say, they'll tie a piece of rope, or they'll get a real heavy hair jig or something to get tangled in the teeth. But where I'm real big on recently I'm real big on using circle hooks.
Oh yeah.
And then, if you let them get it down and you just set that hook, and still the hookup ratio is pretty rough even then, because they'll still find a way to spin it, and they start jumping and spinning and all kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah.
But they're a blast once you get them. And then they're harder than hell to hold on to when you get them on the bank.
Oh, they're strong as shit. Those big ones are fucking crazy. I remember seeing, what was it? I think it was an episode of River Monsters where the Jeremy Wade was holding one of these things, and it's like just moving, and it's a struggle,
I think Jeremy Wade is every man's idol.
Oh, absolutely, dude. Everybody. I know I've had conversations with Becca before. She's like, "Oh, if I could be reincarnated as Jeremy Wade, 100%. Like that. He's got the job,
Oh yeah.
That's freaking absolutely badass. Let's talk as far as like so. You guys might be hearing John right now and thinking, God, that voice sounds familiar. I can't put my finger on exactly what it is, but I'm pretty sure I've heard that voice before, and you have. John this must be at least a year ago, something like that.
Yeah.
We got a phone call from, God damn it. It sounds so stupid with all this fucking Novocaine. We got a phone call from Adam Blomeke asking essentially, am I the asshole if I take a tin of sardines onto the plane and have that as my in-flight snack? Now, me knowing this, like, you're never going to get a tin can on the plane. Like, they're never going to allow you to do that. But he's like, am I the asshole? I was like, I don't know. And then I immediately went to Facebook, and where I know Adam does not follow us. And I said, okay, so I need somebody to do a good Cincinnati accent for me, because that's where Adam was going. And John was right there. He was like, oh, I got you down. And he left the funniest fucking voicemail on the hotline. It was so perfect, unbelievable. I think he referred to it as this man's breath sounded smelled like stank ass. I forget the exact.
Oh, a bowl of skunk ass.
Bowl of skunk ass. Yes. A bowl of skunk ass. So when I play,
it's one of the reasons my wife loves me so much. I got all kinds of magical phrases. So
yeah, I think you need to have those. And when I remember when I played it on the show, I didn't tell Joe and Sean about it. I was just like, oh, they're gonna love it. It's fucking hilarious. And both of them seemed so unenthused. I was so let down because I was like, that is comedy fucking gold. The listeners loved it. They thought it was hilarious, but Joe and Sean were just like,
oh, yeah, I guess.
Like, it was very obvious that I set this up, and I felt like it just right over their heads.
Some people don't appreciate cheap slapstick.
Quality comedy. Quality out of Ohio. I love it, man. Now, the other component about Jigs and Bigs, we love to talk about, like, that fishing, like that social experience, like that other side of it. It's one thing, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine. I said, there's really, I think now, two reasons why people fish. One is obviously the fish. Like, to go out, target a species, try to break a new record, catch the fish as a way to sort of like decompress, like whatever the reason is that you're doing, it involves the fish. The other thing though is like the experience with your other friend, with your friends, the social side of it, the camaraderie, the fellowship, all that stuff. And that's part of the reason why I think I'm so into the Kayak Adventure series, because it's so different as far as tournaments go. But what I'm curious from you is, what are your like top 3 people that you would love to bring fishing with you? They could be famous. They could be people you actually know. They could be newbies. They could be anything. What's that top 3 look like for you?
Well, I think everybody's number one is going to be Jeremy Wade. Just for the knowledge and, he does some sketchy shit. I don't think I'm going to dive in the river and chase my rod.
No, yeah, he's done some sketchy shit. And you know what, John? You're the first person who's ever said Jeremy Wade. I think. Yeah, the first person I've ever asked this question to. I mean, sure, there are other guests where I didn't ask this, and that was it. But yeah, Jeremy Wade for sure, dude.
Yeah, I think my number 2, we've talked about him before, is Justin Johnson from Kayak Catfish. I enjoy that dude's videos, man. He's a lot like me. He likes to fish by himself a lot and absolutely hates humans.
Yeah.
But we could talk fishing all day, but I usually fish by myself.
Yeah.
And I do some sketchy shit myself. I'll go out 3 or 4 in the morning in some places that nobody goes.
Yeah, where you shouldn't be.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I think my third one, man, if my dad was my first fishing buddy.
Yep.
And he passed away 3 years ago.
Oh, man.
So he's usually the first person I would call when I'd get a big one, or he'd always tell me, call me, tell me what you caught, because he got to a point where he really couldn't go out a lot. But so he would live vicariously through me. And, I wish I could get back out there and take him to some of the spots I've found and show him some of the things I've learned. And,
exactly.
He used to get pissed off and say, well, I wouldn't have came if I'd known I was going to watch you catch all the damn fish. So
sometimes that's just how it is, though. You know what I mean? And it's funny. I think that you can never, ever, ever put enough value on fishing with your family. Like you really can't. Like, I mean, so that's a big part of the reason why I bought the boat that I bought, is so that I can, like, my father's getting older, he's got issues with his joints and stuff. And like, I'm never going to get the guy in a kayak, but I'm like, I want to get out and fish with him. And like, even bank fishing is tough, but I'm like, this way we're good to go. Like, so he and I was just like, that's a huge part of it. I was like, is it worth all this money? I'm like, for that? Yeah. 100%. 100%.
If you ever get that boat out there and you decide to start traveling for the road show.
Oh, I'm going to. And
come on down, brother.
Dude,
come on down. I will ride with you any day.
Oh, hell yeah. That's going to happen. 100%. I'd love to say, like, because that's the thing. Out where you are, you're only about 10 hours away from me. Like, that's nothing. Right. That's nothing. I'm a psychopath when it comes to traveling. Like, I've done a 15-hour drive 4 or 5 times in my life, just straight through, middle of the night, whatever.
That's usually me going to Florida.
Yeah, like it's like 10 hours is like I would do that no problem. It's funny at the Columbus Expo when we were at Oldfields doing our after party there. I got through the first round of fishy trivia, and there was a dude there who comes up to me and he was like, "Hey," he goes, "I'd like to have you do this over at my bar." He was over by Columbus, Ohio State. And I'm like, great location. I'm like, it's a college bar. Like, this is perfect. And I was like,
you do realize I live in Massachusetts, right?
I mean, I would do it. I would love to do it. I would clear my entire schedule, my entire week, do that one show a week, because I'd have to charge them what I make in a week. You know what I mean? In order to do it. But I'm like, I'd be driving back and forth with all my gear and all my fishing gear, fish with John for a couple of days. It'd be great.
There you go.
You know what I mean? But
well, the one thing Columbus is that we have a lot of good lakes right around the city. Believe it or not,
I've heard a lot of the people that I talked to when I was at the expo were like, "Oh yeah, the fishing around this place is actually pretty good." Like there are, some. I get it. Like what was it? I think it's the Miami River has a reputation of being kind of sketch. As far as like it's like it's not weird that you snag like a tampon out of there, some shit like that. But like the Connecticut River is the same fucking thing. Like we really, really are very, very alike with a lot of these river systems. Anytime you've got a river that goes through an urban area where there's the potential for runoff, you're dealing with so much crap, But
Miami runs through the heart of Dayton and down all the way down into Cincinnati, and it's really
I'm sure by the time it gets further down south, it's probably like fucking raw sewage.
Well, there was a YouTuber in Dayton that was actually recording when someone tried to rob him, and he was packing. He actually pulled his pistol off.
Oh, really?
It was all on the video. Yeah, if I can find it, I'll send it to you.
I might have seen that actually.
That was in Dayton.
Yeah, fuck. We got my Boston Terrier, my youngest Boston Terrier in Dayton. We only saw that city for like 14 hours. We slept, picked up the dog, and drove home. That was it.
Yeah, it's got its decent areas around there, but a lot of Dayton is kind of sketchy.
You and I, once I get the boat, like that's the plan. I'm going to be going out and doing some of these sends, and really for me, it's got to do with the calendar. So like I do shows Monday through Friday. I have no problem taking off Friday or Monday if I have to, but that. Tuesday through Thursday is like locked in. So I can go up on a Friday, take that night off and make it a long weekend. Or, with 10 hours, that's nothing. Get up in the morning, drive back. I did that trip to Jersey with Janelle for Snakehead. Have you ever caught one of those?
No. And I actually, I want to get into a bowfin, and I've been kind of doing some research on them.
Yep.
The majority are going to come out of Sandusky Bay up around Lake Erie.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, if you do come down, that's where you should go. Sandusky Bay for channel cats. It's a good fishery too if you want perch, yellow perch, white perch.
Yep.
I have to get up there and try and get some of those on the board for the next tournament once I get back into it. But there's both, and there's a lot of natural weedy areas and marshes, and I just want to get up there and be able to spend a weekend and try and tackle them. But as far as snakeheads, I got to come east or go to Florida to find that. So
I think it's worth it.
Yeah, it's on the bucket list.
Yeah, fuck yeah, dude. Especially if you're going to Florida anyway.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. If you're going, it's worth it, dude. It is just absolutely awesome. So my fat ass needs to know, John. You're out fishing, right? And you fish odd hours. Like you said, you're out there like 3:00 in the morning sometimes. When you're done, whether it's good or bad, what's the mom and pop spot where you're going to grab breakfast afterwards?
Oh, mom and pop spot. Well, usually it's Mexican for me. So
okay. I like where this is going.
So I live just south of Columbus in Lancaster. It's only about 30 minutes, but we have Maria's down here on Main Street in Lancaster, and it's an old building.
Yeah.
It's kind of shitty when you go inside. You look at it like, well, they could clean this up a little bit. It's not necessarily dirty. It's just old.
It's just been there, yeah.
The food is awesome, and I get almost the same thing every time. I usually get choro pollo. It's kind of a chorizo chicken mix, and comes with tortillas and beans and rice, and the shit is just fire, man.
Oh, I love that.
Of course, I pay for it later, but you got to take the good with the bad.
Yeah, you pay for it, and everybody in the house too. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, my wife sleeps in the other room when it's on the Mexican night.
Oh, you went to Maria's? I'll be out here. Yeah. That is something, man. I'm a sucker for Mexican food. Best Mexican food I've ever had in my life was not in the South or in out West. It was in Chicago.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, best fish tacos I've ever had in my entire life were in Chicago. Absolutely out of this world. I love Mexican food. One of my go-tos for breakfast, I make breakfast tacos, and they're out of this world. And it's all about that charred corn tortilla. Like, oh yeah, you gotta have it. You gotta have it.
Even my buddy's Puerto Rican, and he said that some of the best restaurants, you can always tell it's a great restaurant at the tortilla chips that they serve at the beginning. If they're almost stale, you know that's a great restaurant. I can't figure out for the life of me how stale chips make it the best restaurant, but most of the time I haven't been disappointed. So
he's right. I mean, that's not a bad thing. So let's get into some of the bucket list stuff. Like, I know you mentioned you travel to Florida and stuff. Are there any specific bodies of water that you want to check off your bucket list?
Oh, I want to fish the Mississippi. I do want to fish Lake Norman for blues down in Oklahoma. Was that Texas? I can't remember. But my biggest bucket list fish is I want to catch an alligator gar.
Oh, yeah.
And my daughter lives in Texas. She got out of the Army, and she lives down in Pearsall, just outside of San Antonio. And I'm like, I'm coming down to visit.
Hell yeah.
I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn if you live in a ratty trailer or wherever you live. Dad's coming to visit. So she was just telling me they went to Corpus Christi to visit, and they're getting ready to get some nasty storms down there right now. So, but yeah, I would love to get, and I'm not talking just a normal. I want a massive,
a giant, yeah,
yeah. That's to say I did it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. I love it. I feel like there's something unique about catching a species that maybe, well, not even that you don't target, but just a species that maybe your circle doesn't necessarily target. That's just a tank,
Yeah.
It's it's so unbelievably freaking cool. You have a favorite technique?
Well, I don't. Here's the crazy thing. So, you guys talk a lot of artificial, and I do use a lot of artificial. I mainly use a lot of jigs. Actually, my favorite combo jig is just a ball head jig with a damn gulp minnow on it, and literally I've caught everything on that. And then I can't remember the lady's name you had on that specializes in crankbaits, and I had mentioned the JSR5 Rapala.
That's right. That was Noel Roth.
Yeah. Yep. Yes. But outside of that, believe it or not, I am a big live bait guy. And when I mention live bait, people are like, "Oh, you're tossing a bobber and watching it float around." No.
Different animal. Yeah.
You can fish a live bait like you would an artificial, targeting, current seams, all the different places you would with, when you're in a river and you're using crankbaits and all that other stuff. My favorite is it's a simple rig. It'll be a float, especially if I'm fishing creeks and river. It'll be a float, and I'll set it about 3 to 4 feet deep, depending on the depth I'm looking, and just a small split shop above a circle hook. When it comes to the baits that I use, it's anything natural. I carry a cast net with me all the time if I can get small creek chubs. Whatever's in the water you're fishing.
Literally you're not match the hatch,
Yeah, you're not allowed to move fish from water to water in Ohio anyway.
Yeah.
Outside of just buying minnows at the bait store. But shad are some of my favorite things to use. Creek chubs, the little small stone roller suckers if we can get them.
Yep.
For catfish, creek chubs, bluegills, green sunfish or greenies as I call them. They're my favorite.
Yeah.
And then bullheads if you can get them. Yellow bellies.
Really?
Catfish candy. And I've caught channels, blues, and flatheads on yellow bellies.
Oh, shit.
Or bullheads, as most people call them. But yeah, those are some of the live baits. I'm not your go buy. I will buy night crawlers occasionally if I don't catch them in the yard.
Yep.
But those have their own niche too. It just depends on whether if it's catfish or bass. Bass will take them too. But I usually fish those when the water's up or murky.
Yeah.
Because that stuff, all these things are getting washed out of the branches and weeds around the river when the water comes up. So they're looking for this stuff.
Yeah.
And you'll catch everything on them. I've seen people catch huge carp. I've caught saugeye on crickets, when the water comes up.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. I've caught, if we got, we have one section of the Souda River in town. There's a lot of crawdads.
Yep.
And if they're kicking, dude, I've caught saugeye, largemouth, smallmouth, flatheads, blue or channel cats, and they smash them. It literally, like you said, it's matching the hatch. It's whatever's going on in the river is what's tickling their fancy.
Yeah.
And if you don't have the bait, find something to emulate what they're after. So if I've got shad colored, gulp minnows or shad wraps or anything that looks like that out there. I've even used the small jigging spoons, and I'll put those with a bullet weight above a barrel swivel, and I'll give it about 6 to 10 inches behind it with the small spoon. And I've got everything from skipjack to crappie with that.
No shit.
Yeah. So I do all kinds of weird stuff.
But it's good, though, to think outside the box a little bit. Now, you gave me a couple of catfish rigs that are fancy as hell. I'm like, these are intricate. With the beads and the float placement and all that. I mean, even just the knot tying alone is that's got to take some serious time to learn.
Oh, man, it's a pain in the ass tying those snail knots. Though I was actually new to doing that, tying the snails, because that's the most effective way to use your circle hooks. Because the way the line is, when you get that snail on there, it causes the circle hook to sit a specific way.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually increases the hookup ratio, where most people will just tie an overhand knot.
Yeah.
And that hook is not going to sit right. I don't have one right here. Otherwise, I'd kind of hold it up and show you. But yeah, the hook sits a specific way that when they take it down and once they apply that pressure, they hook themselves.
I've heard that before about that.
Yeah. Outside of that, though, I outside of the circle hooks, I'm usually a Gamakatsu octopus hook.
Yep.
They're pretty close. But I still like setting the hook, man.
Oh, of course.
You get that initial run when you get your bait clicker set, man, and that line is peeling.
Yep.
It's great when you go and set that hook and it's like hitting that brick wall, and it's just awesome. But yeah, I've gotten real familiar with using those specific rigs, especially the float rigs, especially when you're using cut bait. You kind of put off that vibration and that sound in the water too, coupled with the scent trail from the cut bait that you're using. It also those floats lift that bait up off the bottom and kind of keeps you out of the structure. Yeah,
that's exactly it. It's almost like, really, I looked at it as almost a reverse drop shot. You know what I mean? Instead of the weight being at the bottom, you're weighting the line, and then that float rig is pulling it back up, so you're off of all the snags, really.
So you can also use that especially you being a kayak guy, if you can get some dragging weights, and you can tie the dragging weight on, ahead of that, and you can just put it out of the back of the kayak and slowly drag it behind you.
Yeah.
And they will. I'm telling you, if you got channel cat waters up there, you could use those rigs. It's just a matter of figuring out where they're at.
And that's the thing. I know that there are good size channels in the Connecticut River, and I won't put my my kayak in the river. My boat is just. The kayak is just not great in moderate current with any type of wind, like, oh man, it can be a real challenge. There's just, better performing kayaks. This thing is like, it is meant for ponds and lakes. But when I get the boat, that's a different animal.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm going to set that sucker up, and we're going to catch some big catfish. And then the beauty of it is this boat has 100% vinyl flooring, no carpet. Nice. Which means we can get all the slime in the world all over that sucker and clean it right out. Beautiful. Yeah.
Well, if you can get down to the Chesapeake, that's the Chesapeake Bay area. Yep. That's where they have this big overabundance of blue cats right now.
Oh yeah,
they're actually telling people to keep them all or kill them.
That many, huh?
Yeah, and they're invasive, so they weren't supposed to be there. So
that makes sense.
Yeah, I understand the catch and kill thing because. Sure. We want the Asian carp to go away, but they've made it into the Ohio, and they're pretty close to home now. I think they've seen some in the Miami, Scioto, and the Muskingum rivers. Coming through coming up through southern Ohio. So
now, if you catch those, you can use those for bait too, right?
Yeah, I watched a video. Some guys down in Kentucky, they'll cut them up and use them, but the swim bladder. They cut the swim bladder out and use that, and they say it's really good. I'm kind of hoping I can get a hold of one and try it.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even if they're out there and you're catching them as bycatch, throw a little bait bucket together and let that sucker go, because carp are oily fish.
Oh yeah,
super oily fish, and they're like that's where your scent is right there. I mean, that's some pretty solid cut bait right there.
Yeah, especially in the summertime when the water's warmer, you want that bait that's going to leak a lot of fluid and not bleed out real fast.
Yeah, because then it holds a little something there, while it's sitting there soaking. It's funny when I sort of in my mid 30s when I got into fishing and was like, this is fucking awesome. I was like, catfish, everything. Like river monsters was the thing,
Oh yeah.
And I remember I went out and I bought some stink bait, some dough.
Oh, they got you.
Yeah, not a fan. And then I went out and I was fishing with chicken livers. Somebody had told me, they're like, grab some chicken livers and use that. The hardest thing about using them is keeping it on the hook.
This shit's gross too.
It is super. And I have a thing, like, I don't like to use bait that I would eat. So like, I don't like using like live crawfish. I don't like using shrimp. You know what I mean?
No.
Yeah, I also don't like using, because fried chicken livers are just out of this world.
Oh yeah, so are gizzards and hearts.
Hell yeah,
gizzards and hearts are great too.
Oh man.
Oh, I'll eat anything at least once.
Yeah.
So,
oh yeah, for sure.
I've eaten some shit that people are like, you ate what?
Oh yeah. This is good, man. Let's go ahead. We'll get right to it, dude. I want to know 2 stories from you. I'm looking for the story where you're. Really what I want is the story you're most proud of, like the story that you're going to lead with if you're at an event somewhere and somebody says, oh yeah, so-and-so says you fish. What's that first story you're going to kind of set the tone with? And then the other one is the biggest sort of epic fail.
I've talked about the 60-pound blue cat that I caught.
Oh yeah.
But I think my most epic would have been believe it or not, my PB flathead is only 34 pounds. And I'm looking to beat that at some point.
Oh, yeah.
But I was out, and my wife was pissed at me because I had no cell phone service where I was. So she couldn't get a hold of me. And I told her I'd come home at a certain time, and I was ready to pack up. And I was on the Muskingum River down a Ruckabee Dam is where it is. It's a pretty isolated area.
Uh-huh.
And I was fishing above the dam. And I'm starting to pack my stuff up slowly, and one of my drags started peeling, and I set the hook, and flatheads like shallow water a lot.
Oh, all right.
And I was only fishing about 6 to 4 foot off of it, where the canal goes into the lock.
Yep.
And as soon as I hooked him, with him being so shallow, it was just instant broken top water.
Oh,
and
okay.
I knew he was big. He started swimming left and right, and I had a hell of a time getting to the bank. It's a steep mud bank where I was fishing, so I'm already sinking in the shit when I'm trying to get to him, and finally lift him. And I when you lift that big fish like that, it's there's no other feeling in the world. And then to drag it, he was every bit of 45 inches, and I drug his ass up on the bank and I laid him across the picnic table that was behind me. And I was like, man, it's an amazing feeling. And it's even a better feeling when you let him go.
Yeah,
just
exactly.
You watch him swim away with that big slow tail pump, man. It's an adrenaline rush in itself.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, that's my
that's a good one.
That's always going to be my favorite one.
Hell yeah, dude.
It's that first massive flathead. I got lots of shitty stories, man. I think one that sticks out the most to me is there was a spot off of 270 down on the south end of Columbus. People used to be able to park right off the freeway. It's since been ruined because, people like to go down and drink as many beers as they can because, that apparently goes hand in hand with fishing.
Of course.
And people would pull out drunk onto the highway.
Oh,
so they've since blocked it off. But we used to get down there, and when you look at it from the highway, it just looks like it's just a shallow riffle on both sides.
Mm-hmm.
Well, in between there's a 16-foot hole with some deadfalls on the other side. And I went down there with some great big live creek chubs.
Yep.
And I wanted to get under this tree the whole time. And I fired a chub out there. And it took about 3 shots before I got it to land right and just sweep just under the edge of the branches. Well, there was an overhanging branch above me, and I was trying to kind of break it down because I didn't want to go. If I did get anything, I didn't want to hit the tree.
Yeah.
And while I was doing that, I looked down, and my line was just peeling away. I didn't have a clicker on that rod at the time. And so the line is just taking off, man. And I when I set the hook, it was like I hit a brick wall, like I've said before. And it was just 2 great big head, just dips in the rod, and then it just snapped.
No shit.
And I had 30-pound big game on there. I threw that damn rod on the ground. I packed up my shit and I left. And I went directly to a local bait and tackle fisherman's warehouse looking for some better line because I never again. And I ended up getting a different type of big game. I think it was 50-pound. And I just started rigging things differently. And my favorite line now is the Zebco Cajun Red. That is what is spooled on all my catfish rods.
Oh yeah, that's right. You and I talked about that.
Yeah, it's probably the smoothest casting line I've ever used, and
no kidding.
This shit won't break for nothing.
That's awesome.
But that's awesome. Losing that because that fish could have been 5 pounds.
Yeah,
it could have been 45, but I will never know because that's the one that sticks out to me the most. What could that have been?
Those hurt when you don't know. That's because you're just like the possibility. You're like, shit, what could that have been?
Right.
Damn, dude, that's rough. Did I ask you on Instagram about your hype song? Did I ask you?
No.
Yeah.
So I have a couple.
Okay.
I am notorious for building my own playlist.
Perfect.
My 4 a.m. 4A trip song is Bob Seger, Turn the Page.
Turn the Page. Okay.
When I leave at 4 a.m. Now, if I'm being a douchebag, which I can be sometimes, Aha, Take On Me.
Oh, really? No, that's a good song, man.
I even listened to it because I don't know if you see, I got my Modern Warfare update behind me on one of the TVs, and I'll be on a kill streak on there, and I'll turn my mic on and I'll have that playing in the background. And I think one of the funniest times was somebody started yelling, "Dude, turn off the music. We're getting fucking murked by this dude playing weird music, man." Like, turn your mic off.
It's just funny because that 80s pop makes me think like American Psycho immediately.
And
it's perfect.
Just running around murking people, man. It was, I love it.
Oh, that is awesome.
I like to play strange shit sometimes when I'm doing weird shit. So
there's nothing wrong with that, dude. There's nothing wrong with that at all. John, this was absolutely awesome, man. I'm glad we got to do it. I'm serious. I'm going to be coming out to Ohio with that boat. You and I are going to do some fishing. We're going to catch some big cats. Yeah. We're going to catch a boatload of rough fish and document the shit out of it. It's going to be a good time.
Hey, I want to give those rough fish a better name, man. It's not all about bass, man.
Yeah.
Some of the fish that people don't like give some of the best fights.
Oh, absolutely they do, And you'll find people that sink a hook into them just accidentally, and they're like, "That was amazing," and then they get a little bit of respect, I think.
it can get a little addictive too.
Oh yeah, for sure, dude. If you are you working with any companies, you want to mention anybody, drop any or shout out any followers or anything like that?
I don't have any off the top of the head, but I will mention.
Yeah.
I think we spoke before. This is an old logo that I got here, but I'm working on YouTube.
Nice.
Trying to get this shit started. That's why I bought all this new equipment that I was talking about. Sandbar Bullies is going to be the name.
There you go.
And hopefully by the end of the year I get this rocking. And I want it to be fishing content, but I also want to bring an educational. And when I say educational, I'm not just talking fishing. I'm a nature geek.
Yeah.
So I when you're out there by yourself, you see things that people in the city or people that don't get out much don't get to see.
Yep.
And they like to see that kind of stuff. So it'll have some educational portions. It might sound boring, it might not be, but we'll find out when we get there.
That's awesome, man. A little something for everybody. A lot of value packed into a diverse sort of package.
Yeah, you want to be different.
That's awesome, man. I love it. Well, John, thank you so much, dude, for being part of the show. This is awesome. I appreciate you, man. You're an absolute, you're a jig. Yeah, you're a jighead. You've been a jighead for quite a while,
I'm all in,
too.
buddy. I am all in.
I love that. I have a couple of ideas because I'm trying to add more to the Jighead program a little bit, and I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to do it, but I have some ideas going, and I gotta make some lists and figure out what's reasonable, what's doable, all that stuff. But yeah, that's awesome, man. We appreciate you. Well, you have yourself a good one, dude. Do me a favor and send me a picture of you holding an absolute giant.
I'm going to send you the flathead we talked about.
Perfect. That's perfect, man. I'll use it for the artwork on the show. And you go ahead and have a good one, dude. Go ahead and catch him.
Oh, yeah. I think I'm going to get out today. So
I love that, man. Take care, buddy. We'll talk soon, all right?
Yes, sir.
All right. Bye-bye, bud. Before we started rolling here, we were on this tangent of hair loss and going gray, and it was just a mess. And we've determined that if I am the fishing Santa Claus, it's the Billy Bob Thornton version of Santa Claus, and Saint Nick is a little bit more. He's like the Coca-Cola guy. You know what I mean?
All I gotta say is you should have been a jighead.
Should have been a jighead, yeah. And you still have an opportunity to be a jighead. You know what? I'm glad you mentioned that, Zach, because number one, like, we put this show out and it goes out to all the podcast platforms. Folks can listen to it. It's on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel with exclusive video content that's over there. But you can check out the show all over the place. But the jigheads are the ones that are in the chat as we record this as an exclusive live stream that just goes to Patreon. And you can become a jighead for $5 a month. You get all of this content, plus whenever we go to bat for our jigheads too. Whenever we partner with a company, we like to offer exclusive deals. So while we have affiliate links and stuff for Dark Horse Tackle, we've also got some jighead bonuses and some extra stuff that pops up along the line for the jigheads.
Straight up, they treated me like a washcloth. They were like, all right, so cool. Thank you for the discount for our listeners. But for the jig heads, I'm going to need to treat you like a wet washcloth and just wring you the fuck out.
We like to do a little something for the jig heads. You know what I mean? So there's always a little extra something. But if you love this show, you can't get enough of it. You want to be involved with the recording process and everything and get in and chime in on what we're doing, become a jig head. Go ahead and do it. I mean, it'll cost you less than a cup of Starbucks a month. These days,
hey, listen, just to see what's going on during the breaks is worth it.
It's true. You get to chime in on a bunch of stuff. It's really, really fantastic. But also, I should mention this. I've been doing a little bit of work. You guys notice I'm wearing a new hat? I've worn this style of hat before. I'm a flat brim kind of guy, but I'm wearing a Jigs and Bigs hat. And this was the #1 item that was sold out on our previous store at jigsandbigs.com. Folks would order it, and that order would sit in limbo sometimes for months before they'd be like, I'm just going to cancel it because the suppliers wouldn't have them or whatever. So your boy went and made a few changes and brought in a different company for a handful of items, and I've added some items to the Jigs and Bigs store so that you guys, if you want to check out some Jigs and Bigs merch, you can. In fact, oh, I know why. It's not store. It's shop. There we go. So if you want to check out Jigs and Bigs shop, you can go ahead and do so. We have actually a men's Columbia fleece vest that's embroidered with our logo. We've got oversized tie-dye T-shirts that are available. You know, I'm gonna actually move this to another.
Pinky's
window.
out for the Columbia fleece.
Yeah, it's nice. I want to. I figured for like Expo season that might be kind of nice.
It would be.
You know what I mean? That could be
I
really
definitely
cool.
got to get me one of those flat brims.
Let's
I
go
like
ahead
a
and do
good
this.
fleece. Joe likes a good flog.
I'm going to go ahead and share the screen here. Share screen. Let's go ahead and do it. Allow. Boom. All right. Sharing the screen right there. So what we've got for everybody, we've got the men's Columbia fleece vest. We've got the oversized tie-dye T-shirt. That graphic is not a print. It's embroidered. We have the trucker cap available. We have 2 flat bill caps. One of them has a fabric back to it. The other one's a trucker cap, like with the traditional mesh. This item right underneath the tie-dye shirt, I think, is the one that everybody's been really asking for. We now have stickers available at jigsandbigs.com. If you want to buy
Why stickers?
Why?
Always with the freaking stickers. Dude, all of us are in the wrong freaking business, I swear to God.
Dude.
Like, all we all need to do is just quit our jobs and just make stickers. Because, honestly, fishing tackle, screw it. Podcasts, screw it. All anybody really wants is stickers.
Yeah, it's true.
Why?
There are 3 different sizes too, which is something that we've never done before. So we've got a 5.5 inch, we have a 4 inch and a 3 inch sticker. You can order your stickers and get them. In fact, there's one other item that I was looking at putting on the store, and it's, you know, people will put those little magnets, the decorative magnets for different stuff on their cars.
Yeah.
I put one on my truck. It's a big Jigs and Bigs logo. It's like 6 inches. It's huge, you know? And I'm like,
huge.
Yeah. I'm like, yeah, I kind of like that. Let's go ahead and, you know, we'll add that sucker on there. Of course,
magnets are definitely key.
Magnets are nice
when it comes to cars because, you know, sometimes like you just don't want to put the sticker on because you're like,
that's exactly it.
Even if it's a sticker you want to put on, it's like if it was a magnet, I could just throw it on there
and take
even
it
if
off.
It doesn't look right. I can move it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. It really is. It is nice. So I got one of those to try it out. I was like, that's pretty cool. I've gone through the car wash a few times with it and it stays. I'm like, all right, that's what I wanted to know. I don't want people buying this stuff and having to go down the tubes. The good thing is about the Jigs and Bigs shop is that you can still get the Bluetooth speaker. You can still get the old t-shirt designs, the Ditch Pickle Tickler shirt, all that stuff. You can still get all those other designs that are on there. I just took off the problem stuff and added some new stuff so that this way you guys can go ahead and go for it. John Hagans asks, he says, do you have gear for us Husky fans, Bobby? Yes, I do. What I've got here as far as like sizes, well, let's go ahead and we'll look at the shirts specifically. I will say I'm a little let down that the oversized tie-dye shirt only goes up to a 2XL. But like the newest shirt that we've got here is this one, the Fishing Podcast Your Wife Loves, is available up to a 4XL. You know, and I do that because I understand that, like, you know, bodies are unique to one another, and folks, you know, they have a certain fit that they're looking for, and this is a good thing. So if it's available, I give you guys
a hell of a thing.
Yeah,
that's a hell of a thing too. Like, that's a hell of a thing to be able to offer because just speaking from experience, like as soon as you leave extra large, every single one costs more after that, and it's exponential. So it's amazing that you can offer that.
And the thing is like we're not an apparel company, so like this stuff is drop shipped. It's done that way so that this way, like what Zach's talking about, if you go and purchase, you know, fill an inventory of one design of shirts. Well, what's the most popular size? Well, now I have to fill those other fringe sizes too. And, you know, then I've got to be a warehouse and ship all this stuff out. We know that I'm a fucking stupid moron when it comes to doing that shit. So this is definitely the way to go ahead and do it. I've always tried to make the choice to get like name brand apparel that I know will like hold up a little bit more. So like a good case in point, that Columbia fleece. I think that's going to be pretty badass, you know? That sucker I can see going down south and camping and like wearing that puppy to like dress it up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That's nice.
Yeah. When in doubt, pinkies out. Wear your Columbia Jigs and Bigs fleece.
You're goddamn right, Zach.
Somebody needs that. Somebody needs to engrave that on something.
That's a wrap for this show for the most part. Boys, thank you for being a part of this program. I appreciate the shit out of you guys. Pat and Zach, you guys are absolutely awesome. I know, Joe and I could talk on here for hours, but it's always great to bring in other perspective, and keep that perspective like as a wide variety. Of course, we've got some folks that are our favorites, and we're gonna like bring them on repeatedly and stuff. And it's kind of like a,
dare I say, a casting couch.
It's like fishing off a pontoon boat. You know what I mean? That's what I'm talking about. It's something like
Jigs
that.
and Bigs, like fishing off of a pontoon boat.
Fishing off a pontoon boat. You guys got anything you want to wrap up with before we go? You got any announcements, any shout outs or plugs or anything?
I do actually. Summertime is pretty hot for Dark Horse Tackle. Actually, it's hot and wet today. So all y'all know already, June was our top water month. After June comes July. July is always our river box.
Okay? That's right.
Yeah, baby. And our river box is always very special because we actually get a full print box and we have an artist out there somewhere do some artwork for the box. There it is right there. We only make a certain amount of them. So when they come out, get them. If you get them, if you don't, sorry, they're gone. But it's a badass box. It's going to come with a great video. We're actually going down to West Virginia on the Potomac. And we're going to fish with TJ, the artist, and do a bunch of cool stuff like that. We're also going to get a very, very limited amount of t-shirts made with that design. Only 50. That is it. We are technically 51. We're making 51 shirts. That is it. So if you want them, and we're not doing it like Bobby does it. So if you want the size you want, you better get them. You better get on and get them. And then in August is our third. So we do 3 special boxes in the summertime. That is it. We do the all top water, which is always going to be in June. Then we do the river box, which is always going to be in July. It's river or creek. Yeah. And then in August, because we all know how August is the no skunk box. And those are our 3 special boxes. So we've got some good shit coming up, and get in on it because it's going to be hot.
I freaking love that, man. I love that shit.
Hell yeah.
How about you, Pat? You got anything you want to wrap with?
My Instagram is Fishing Patch. I don't go crazy, but whenever I get a good fish or have a good day, I'll take some pictures, put it up there.
What about your OnlyFans?
I'm not there yet. There's not enough market for ginger chodes, I guess. I got spit takes.
Wow.
Sorry, that's a work thing. There's a kid I work with that if I get a spit take out of him, I do. But yeah. Otherwise, like, I guess we'll throw out Matt Thayer's name. As my buddy. He's so good to me. He takes me fishing all the time. He makes great baits. Great stuff on the lathe. Great spinners, jigs, and that stuff. So
fuck yeah.
Hit him up. I'll throw him out there. He's the reason I got into you guys, and he's done so much for me. So
that's awesome.
I'll pump him up. But yeah, that's about it.
I love that. Nick goes, Ginger Jones, he goes, LMAO. But then he goes, that's the name for a red popping frog if I've ever heard one.
The Red Rocket.
I love it. Joe, you got anything for us, or are we going to just put a fork in this one?
Real quick, I actually have a pretty exciting thing that I meant to mention earlier, but I'm gonna plug it in the next shows. And Bobby, we actually have an opportunity to do a little bit of a like advertisement, a little bit of partnership with this, and we'll talk offline about it.
Yeah.
So Fish or Die Bait Company is actually hosting the Rumble on the River up at the St. Lawrence River, October 19th this year. So this is a boat tournament.
Yeah.
This is a boat tournament. It is a $5,000 first prize guaranteed.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yep. It's presented by Doc's Tackle. I think I said that. So you have some a few different people like Gas RX, Douglas Rods, few other sponsors with others coming. But yeah, it's a $250 entry. It is a team. It is a team event, and it's gonna be friggin' awesome. I will be there. It's a 1-day thing. Probably just gonna grab like an Airbnb or something. Maybe bring the family up. Maybe not. Who knows?
Yep.
And but I'll spend a few days up there pre-fishing and whatnot. But
hey, Joe, can I borrow your new boat?
Sure.
Should I get weird and win this thing in my deep V?
That would be Bobby.
Damn straight you should.
This could be your first fucking tourney. This could be your first tourney.
Yeah, I could. Yeah, that shit could happen.
Bobby, you need to put that on a T-shirt somewhere.
What's that?
Come hang out with me in my DB.
Come hang out.
Come hang out with me in my deep V. You see
that's hot. That's hot. Deep V.
Oh, I'm telling you, us northern anglers, man. That's a thing. That could be a lot of fun.
It sounds way better than come hang out with me in my lunch.
It's what was it? That date, Joe, is what, October 19th?
So it's October 19th. Yes. It's going to be out of Clayton.
Yep.
I don't exactly. There's so many fucking launches up there. I found out. I don't know the launch off the top of my head right now, but I'm gonna plug this. I'll probably try to plug it every week
for sure.
But yeah, it's up St. Lawrence River, October 19th. It's 1 day team tournament. It's gonna be a fucking blast. It is maxed out at 80 boats.
Yeah.
I have a feeling he's already getting them. So and you can and for Nick. You can fish the U.S.
or Canadian
and
side.
the Canada waters. So
that's freaking awesome. So it's funny. Nice. Nick and I have been talking about some plans for October, and he's like, "Let's shuffle some plans." I think it's possible that we could maybe do all of this. I really do. I think so. Yep. And it might just be that much more of a wild week. Let's talk, Nick. We'll talk offline, and then we'll maybe put together some Zoom calls and make this concrete, because what we have in mind kind of is open to the country. This could be amazing, Come with me in my deep V, says Todd. You're goddamn right, my friend. You're goddamn right. That's awesome, Joe. Yeah, I think that's awesome. I'm stoked. I think that is great.
Yeah, it's gonna be a great time. And like I said, like that was my first time at that fishery, and now I want to go there every fucking week. So
hell yeah, dude.
This is actually during the Nationals for ABA, but since I don't have a boat and haven't been able to do the tournaments, I'm probably not going to qualify. So I'm going to be up at the St. Lawrence River.
Yeah, go there. We'll we'll chalk this one up to a little bit of experience.
Yeah, thanks, Skeeter. Thanks, bud.
Thanks, Skeeter.
Thanks, John.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, thanks, John.
All righty, guys. Well, hey, thank you so much for checking out Jigs and Bigs. We appreciate you. You guys are absolutely the greatest listening audience that we've ever could expect. All of our followers on all the YouTube channels, all of the subscribers for Dark Horse Tackle. If you've ever bought a bait at the bait shop, man, you guys are absolutely awesome. And everybody in Rhode Island is just great, just because. Although I will say this much about Rhode Island. We got Becca. Becca's officially a masshole now. Have you heard, Pat?
I have heard.
Yeah,
I have heard.
Officially an asshole.
That's what Rhode Island does. We're tiny. People come up here and then they go on.
And then they move on. I hear you.
The only good thing about Massachusetts is we're better than Rhode Island.
And it's barely.
Oh,
it's barely.
These days, it doesn't take
Jeff,
much.
It doesn't
Jeff,
take
like
much.
Rhode Island.
I like to think we have a click or two above Connecticut as well, if I'm being perfectly honest. A click or two.
Yeah,
know?
but they got all those like
All
rich
right,
areas.
They got
yeah.
Lyme disease. That's fine.
Yeah, they do. They got the WWE headquarters. That's kind of cool. And,
That's all down by New York.
ESPN. You know,
Yep.
it's all good. All right. You guys have yourself a great one. Remember, if you're out there fishing, you're catching them, tag us in all your images, whatever it is that you're posting on social media. We want to know how you're doing out there and share the love and go and give you guys some likes and comments and shares and all that good stuff as well. We will see you guys in another 7 days. More Jigs and Bigs goodness, and we should have some information about the boat and some first looks on our social media. So make sure that you're following us on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and especially on YouTube. And we'll see you guys next week with more Jigs and Bigs. On behalf of Zech and the entire Dark Horse Tackle family, who the fuck is Joe Brown, and our favorite ginger chode, Pat Martin.
It's ass, smoke some grass.